Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to your Wednesday night fix of SOP PC action, hosted once again by our very good friends at SimGrid. We are here, of course, for the finale of our PC EVO Challenge, a 4-week competition showcasing some of SOP's finest drivers, as well, of course, as Mike's handy camera work. Pitting them against one another in a battle for the ages. It's Mercedes versus Ferrari. Of course, it's the Mercedes AMG EVO 2020 versus the Ferrari 488 EVO 2020. And this week, we are at Imola. Of course, my name is John Wright, and as our usual stalwart commentator and self-proclaimed voice of SOP, I'll be leading you through tonight's action once again. But allay your fears, as I am not alone in bringing you commentary worthy of you, our faithful viewers, the drivers, and of course Mike's camera work. Joining me to dissect and analyse tonight's race is, and finally making his much anticipated PC comms debut, it's SOP's Curly Red Bailey. How we doing, Bailey?
Absolutely fantastic, John. How are you?
Yes. I'm very, very good indeed, mate. Very good indeed. Looking forward to tonight's action.
I am, yeah. So this is the final round, so round 4 already, and it's been a cracking opening 3 rounds, hasn't it?
Really, yep.
What a track to do it at, Imola.
It really is. It really is. Imola is absolutely a cracker. We're having a quick look at the table. We've got that up on the screen. Some interesting things to note there. You will notice at the top there it says Ferrari. An awful lot. That is because there has been only 3 Mercedes made it into the top 10 after 3 rounds. It has certainly been a one-man show from Luca Tavernari. He's won every event, every race we've had, all 3 tracks, and he's taken pole position as well. He has been more than ably hunted down, of course, by Sir Foch in second place. All 3 races, he's made it onto the podium, the only driver outside of Luca Tavernari to do so, and in fact we've only had 1 Mercedes on the podium so far, Bailey.
Yeah, that's quite crazy. And you think, John, I know you're a Ferrari fan, but I'm a Mercedes fan, and hoping the Mercedes shines today on this track, as it is a Mercedes track.
Well, yes, it certainly is. As we mentioned, we had quite a few drivers. There's 36 drivers that have competed so far. 25 of them have made it into the points, and out of the 10 that haven't made it into the points, 7 of those drivers have been in Mercedes. So I think it really does speak volumes to the dominance, not only of Luca Tavernari, but to the Ferrari has had in this competition. Only 3 Mercs inside the top 10, Bailey, piloted by Jones, Phillip and Hayes. Phillips, of course, AJ to the P, well known to the SOP faithful. Okay, we're actually going to move on to the hot lap, so we'll come back to talk to you more about the stand-ins. I've got a slightly shortened timescale this evening due to the servers giving us a bit of a bug, so here we are. We are on board this evening with a gentleman whose name I forget. Is it Greg that's tonight? Gregor Schill. It is Gregor tonight. He is in the Ferrari, of course. Here he comes along the start-finish straight. One of the few anti-clockwise courses that run at the moment into Tamburello chicane, heavy braking zone. This is going to be a very active place for overtakes. You can certainly put it on the inside and then round the outside round there, flat out through this section, down through an elongated chicane here, a very tricky one. You've really got to get the braking right here and hit that middle curve and get a good exit here, as we see Gregor do. He's going to come down out into Villanueva. Sorry, that's Villanueva he's just come through, so that's Tozzi's coming through now. It's almost a hairpin again. Got to be very careful with the weight distribution of the car as you're coming into the braking zone there. Semi-long straight there as he comes into Piratella, or as we now call it, Death Zone Bend, after a move that was pulled in our our console challenge during the week. He's going to come again. A tricky little section coming here through Acqua Minerale. Fantastic name. As you can see, the undulation, left, and back up the hill. The car undulating and fighting against you all the time. Brake input, so very important. You want, again here, heavy braking. You want to brake down, get a nice wide entry into that chicane and maximise that exit on that exit chicane. Coming down now into Ravazza, the double left-hander before the start-finish straight. This little kink right here, again, heavy braking, maximise the curb on the right, catch that curb in the middle. Don't want to catch any of that gravel on the right there before you make your final exit out of Ravazza. That's the pit straight we see there. on the right as we see Gregor come round the last. Is it a corner? Is it a bend? Is there 19 corners? Is there 18 corners? We'll certainly find out as Gregor crosses the line in a very respectable time there. So it is, of course, Imola we are at this evening. We have been to Misano, Monza and the Nürburgring. So Italy and Germany. And no matter where we've gone so far, Bailey, as we mentioned, Ferrari dominance, absolutely just unspeakable here. 7 of the top 10 in the Mercedes and only 1 Mercedes on the podium, as we mentioned. Quite incredible considering the talent and the level of some of the drivers that we've got here.
It is, and what's quite interesting is, obviously, as this is a Mercedes track, we're going to start looking at the Mercedes here as it starts its lap.
Carsten Hayes, yes.
Yeah, the Ferraris are already on top, aren't they? So, I mean, they haven't set lap times yet, but, I mean, isn't that a clear sign that maybe Ferrari will start on the front row?
They may well indeed, As you mentioned, the Ferrari dominance, we can't put that entirely down to the car in any way, shape or form. We've got to give massive credit to the drivers, particularly Kenny Millard, Christian Malcherek, Daniel Jose Georges, Sir Foch, and the man of the moment, 3 pole positions, 3 first places, Luca Tavernari. To say that the Ferrari has been dominant would be to massively understate the level of talent and precision that this man has shown in this series over these last 3 weeks, Bailey. And got to be looking at a long shot to be putting on money on him, at least getting on the podium tonight.
Oh, absolutely. If you've had a strong performance of the season as he has, and as you say, it's not just the car. You can't assume it's the car, as the Ferrari's been so dominant, but it's always, let's just say, 80% the driver.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say so there. We do have, let's not count this out now, as we've said, it has been Ferrari dominance, but the Mercedes, we do have clues that the Mercedes should be able to mount a very competent fight back at this track. We've got Chris Jones, we've got Alex Phillips, and we have Carsten Hayes, who we mentioned. Alex Phillips, of course, AJ to the P, very quick, smooth drivers. Those drivers, despite the Ferrari dominance, have made it into the top 10, so they're definitely going to be ones to watch tonight. And so I would predict would be Samsu, Adam O'Neill, and also Michael Hole. Now, Samsu and Adam O'Neill, both in Mercedes, both lurking with intent, just outside the top 10 in the first couple of races. They're sitting 11th and 12th. And also Michael Hole, let's not forget, he DNF'd in the first race, so we've only got 2 results from Michael Bailey, and he's still sitting in 15th out of 36 drivers. So potentially Michael could be one to watch tonight.
Absolutely, never count out a driver. That's what we say, don't we? I mean, yeah, if someone's DNF'd, you don't count them out. And like you said, the strong performance of each car is going to be determined at this track when the Mercedes is dominant. So yeah.
Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting. King McGee as well. Let's not forget King McGee. He did finish 7th last week and finds himself 14th in the championship at the moment. So he too could be one to watch on this allegedly Mercedes dominant track. We say allegedly. King McGee is at the moment up in 4th place. Jose Georges and Malcherek are 5th and 6th at the moment. They are on a charge up the table. Speaking of charges up the table, we do also have some other Mercedes drivers. Like I said, out of 36 drivers, 25 have scored points, and my maths is terrible, of course, because that would make 11 drivers that haven't scored points instead of 10, which my notes repeatedly say. So yeah, we need to shoot my secretary. But yeah, so 7 of those cars, Mercedes drivers. Could we see the likes of Bertolio, Humphreys, McKenna, Boychuk, Lagerston, Mastida, Gantus, Omar, Boychuk, Cross or Armstrong make a charge up the table and get themselves some points to the thing, Bailey? Like I say, they're Mercedes drivers, they have scored points, they have finished the races, but just outside the points. Could this track be the one that lends these guys to getting themselves some points on the board in the closing weeks?
Absolutely, I think that's what's the best part about this track, and Imola is such a fast track. It's quite a short track though, isn't it? 3 miles long. It sounds short, and it looks short by the track map. A lot of activity on track, but yeah, it's a fast lap, isn't it?
It is a very fast lap. There is yes, for a 3 mile lap to still be lapping in the low 1 minute 40s gives you an average speed of pretty high.
Yeah, we'll stick to that.
Yes, we'll stick to that. We'll definitely stick to that. So yeah, they do get around this lap in a fairly toot-sweet manner. Speaking of a toot-sweet manner, we're just going to catch up now. We are 8 minutes into qualifying. So before we do some track talk, let's have a quick look at the runners and riders at the moment and see where they're sitting out. Sir Foch, mentioned him before. We were just mentioning him there. He's the only driver outside of Luca Tavanari to be on the podium in all 3 races. A third, and a second, which has given him a 12-point lead and a 28-point deficit. The lead, of course, to Daniel Jose Georges, who has found his way onto the podium in this tournament with a second at Monza. Samir Foch is 12 points ahead of him, but finds himself 28 points behind Luca Tavanari, with 30 points up for grabs for the winner. You would be hard pushed to see Samir Foch winning this tournament, but he's putting himself on provisional pole at the moment, Bailey, and with his podium pedigree, a race win could well be on the cards here.
It could be, absolutely, but we can't count out the fact that Chris Jones in the Mercedes is only 1/10 behind with 6 minutes to go. And I'd like to ask you a question, John, because your Ferrari's the favourite car of yours.
Indeed it is.
How does the Ferrari react to curbs around this track? Because there's a lot of curbs around this track.
The same way it reacts to curbs at any track.
So, well?
Terrible.
Oh, terrible.
Unless,
okay.
Yeah, unless you adjust. The thing is, you can adjust the car, obviously, on a set of course of competition. Everyone knows this is a full spectrum simulator, so you can adjust everything down to the cup holder in the driver's cockpit. So between dampers, your front anti-roll bars, your bump stop range, your bump stop rate and your wheel rate, you can adjust the car to ride the curbs better at a cost, though. This will cause understeer, which is a lack of ability to steer into the corner, or on the way out of the corner you end up running wide. The Mercedes, it has to be said, is naturally more set up to take the curbs. I do call it a bit of a cheat car. I was racing SOP's founding father Simon, and I was in arrears to him, and I watched him ride the curbs at Zolder like they were non-existent. I thought to myself, I'll follow him over there, and found myself with Mr. Spoon on Button Moon. Just wrecked the underside of the car and decided that yes, he was using a cheat car. So the Mercedes is a bit of a cheat car over the curbs, but as I say, these guys can tune the cars to ride the curb. We do see Daniel Jose Georges there riding a few curbs. He is currently a second up on his lap time, which would put him onto pole position as he comes along to the start-finish straight. Will he carry the speed? Crosses the start-finish line, and there we go then. Jose Georges in a Ferrari, Bailey. This Mercedes, I was so looking forward to the Mercedes dominant, just to bring it up a bit, but it does look like Jose Georges, Sir Foch, is certainly looking to keep that dominance. There we go, and Chris Jones then. So, curse of the commentator, Bailey, straight in the back of that. Chris Jones says, hold my beer, I'm going to get myself onto the front row of the grid. So the Mercedes starting to fight back here.
Absolutely, and coming back to the curb chat we were talking about, the Mercedes can take a bit more curb, but is quite slidey, I think is the best way to describe it at the rear.
That would be the politically correct term that is usable before the watershed, Bailey, yes.
And yeah, he's done a good job there, hasn't he? Just within a tenth of the Ferrari driver.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So, Mercedes have broken the dominance on the front row of the grid. Chris Jones is up in second place, pushing Sir Foch down to third. Christian Malchirek then in fourth position. He'll be looking to make a move, and so I do not doubt for a second will be AJ to the P. We're on board with Sam Su then, TSR Sir Wake, and I'm glad we're on board with him actually. As I mentioned, he is just outside the top 10. He's 11th. After 3 races, we're expecting a good showing from the Mercedes. Sam is a very, very, very quick driver. He's got Adam O'Neill joining him on 25 points after the 2 events, where King McGee close in there in Mercedes, Michael Hole in a Mercedes, Astor Buergas in a Mercedes, Sean Buck in 18th in a Mercedes. So all these Mercedes drivers loitering there. We're starting to see, so as we can see as well, Bailey, we've got Phillips, Astor Buergas, King McGee are all ahead of Tavernari at the moment. So really, is this actually the Mercedes shining, but Jose Georges is just really getting it done?
Yeah, I think here this is a track where it is a lot down to the driver, and if you can sort of handle the track, because it is a tricky track, and you can't let the track bully you, basically.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah,
I think it turns 9 to 10, which is quite a quick corner. I think we're going through now. Before you go down the hill into 11 and 12.
Yep.
You've got to have a lot of control, but faith in the car, and then on top of that, a lot of bravery to try and carry as much speed through there as possible. And he's done a fantastic job, and he put it on a provisional pole.
Really has. I think just to update your political correctness diary, the political correct term for that is testicular fortitude, and that's certainly something that these drivers have to show. The Ferrari drivers, as you say, will have to show it when they're going over the curbs. As we discussed, the Ferrari is not a fan of the sausage curb, whereas the Mercedes, to say the back end of that is loose, I think that is definitely a safe statement. Well, we're touching on, there is a close battle at the top, of course. Sir Foch, Daniel Jose Georges and Christian Malchirek are all within 13 points of one another, with Kenny Millard not far off. There is still a fascinating battle, as I mentioned, 11th down through 19th. I mentioned all the Mercedes drivers. Let's not count out our good friend Homeschool Racer. He's in 17th in a Ferrari, and Camille Stempel is in a Ferrari as well. And of course, Preston Lambrecht got himself a top 10 finish at Monza, so we could well see him put his Mercedes up the pit. Homeschool Racer, of course, fresh from his 24-hour endurance race, so congrats to him on a great finish. I believe he was robbed thanks to a few disconnects, but still putting a great show in, so well done to him. So yeah, definitely still battles that we'll be keeping an eye on down through the field. At the moment though, we are on board with one of SOP's favourite is, of course, AJ to the P in his indigo lime racing colours. He was my one to watch last week. I did declare that before the stream even ended, just before anybody jumped on the bandwagon, because AJ in a Mercedes around this track is definitely going to be one to watch. And another one to watch here, we're on board with Astor Buergas. We've got the guys to see if they fancy the custom liveries this evening, and we've certainly got a cracker there from Astor Buergas. That really is a beautiful livery, as we see.
That a play on the Williams F1?
Williams F1. It is indeed, Bailey. It isn't. Wisdom beyond your years, young man. Wisdom beyond your years. Actually, speaking of wisdom beyond your years, I'm sure I saw Blatant Rage in the chat. Why does it only show me top chat? I want to see live chat. Is anyone watching, by the way? Is everyone there this evening? How well doing? We're into the last, in fact, we'll save that for the race. What am I talking about? We are into... Oh, we've got a new pole sitter. We have a new pole sitter, and it is a Ferrari. We've got a new third place as well. So, Camille Stempel is sitting on pole position at the moment. Sir Foch is in the pits, Martirek's in the pits, and so is Phil. No. Oh, it is still Jose Georges. Sorry, I'm looking at... Yeah, I'm looking at incorrect information there. That was a whole lot of excitement for a very, very, very huge letdown there, ladies and gents. I apologise for that one, but we are watching the guys pulling the final laps. We're on board with Karsten there, had a chance. He's finishing, he's going to qualify in 14th, as we see a beautiful pirouette there from the Ferrari. Now you're just stealing some camera time there, Kenny Millard, in the Ferrari. You're in the Ferrari, that's all you need to do. You will get all the camera time you want from me, my good friend. That is absolutely for sure. But anyway, enough of my Ferrari fanboying. Here is the qualifying results and first shock of the day. Let's start in 7th place. Random, I know, but look at Tavernari. Championship leader is in 7th place, Bailey. We've got Astor Buergas is up in 6th. AJ to the P, my one to watch, is in 5th, with Malchirek in 4th. Sir Foch is in 3rd. He does love a podium. Chris Jones is in 2nd, and Daniel Jose Georges absolutely bringing the fight to the rest of the field from third place in the championship, Bailey, taking pole position by 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, that's a pretty big gap, John. But let's talk about the starting position of Daniel. He's on pole. He's got Chris Jones in the Mercedes behind him. Where's
side by side.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Side by side.
Yeah.
Where's the best place to start for this track? Because you've got such an odd,
awkward,
let's say, corner is turn 2 and 3.
Yes, that first chicane, Bailey, that is something you and I alluded to before the broadcast. We did mention this. Turn 1, lap 1. Everyone talks about it in motorsport, but this corner, turn 1, as we can see beautifully there illustrated, you come round this right-hand kink and go into this chicane here. This chicane is very, very much a valid overtaking point. Do you want to be on the left and taking the first curve and potentially having to go round the outside and running wide, or do you want to potentially catch the grass on the right? Of course, on the first lap as well, it's a rolling start, so the guys very much have to judge what's happening in front of them. It's all fine and well to try and take an overtake move if someone in front of you or beside you doesn't get a good start, but going into turn 1, lap 1, even with the pace that especially with the pace the guys are going to be carrying into turn 1, lap 1, because it's a rolling start, it really is going to be a make or break for a lot of races here, Bailey. It is a decision time. Do you concertina or do you overtake?
Absolutely. It's a moment where you've got to bring out the aggression in you to either take the lead or hang back, wait a bit, and for the guys behind, the same. Hang back, wait a bit, maybe some chaos at the start can always gain you a few positions, and hopefully we get a good clean turn 2 and 3 and a lot of action after turn 4.
Yeah, we're certainly hoping so. We do have 30 drivers on field and we do have a couple of shocks. Luca Tavernari is not on pole position. No, you don't need to adjust your set. You have heard me correctly. Luca Tavernari is on the 4th row of the grid for this race. Daniel Jose Georges, as we do our track walk and look at these fantastic cars. As I say, a lot of these guys have brought custom liveries with them this week. As we can see on the right there, the Mercedes of Alex Phillips, AJ to the P. I want to watch can definitely do some damage here. Aston Borrega in the Martini inspired Williams F1 looking fantastic. We've got another, is that an Indigo Lime-ish? They say, no, of course, that's Luca Tavernari. I'm just not used to seeing him. We should have seen Luca. Luca should have been done and dusted. We should have given him his intro, but no. He's thrown a spanner in the works for his championship charge. We did say it would take a lot for Samir Foch to win this championship. He is 28 points behind Luca Tavernari, but he's now 6. Sorry, he's not, telling you porcupines. He's 4 places ahead of Luca Tavernari. So turn 1, this concertina could see Sir Foch sneak off as we come past a nice little group of Ferraris. You will notice there is Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari. So the top 5, the top 10, is split 6-4 to the Ferrari, Bailey. Not what we were expecting. I've mentioned this before, but genuinely, from what the drivers themselves were saying, this is not the type of starting grid that we were expecting for this evening's race.
No, not at all, but it's a great mix-up of cars, especially because we got a Ferrari on pole and in second a Mercedes, so those two are going to go head-to-head, more or less.
Yeah.
Then behind 2 Ferraris, and then behind them with Alex Phillips is in the Indigo Line Mercedes, and you got Mercedes behind him. So there's a mix-up, but they're fairly close, aren't they, with how they're ordered?
Yes, they are. They are very close in together. We do have, that's 6 and 4 in the top 10. That is an absolutely fascinating mix. We've got a Mercedes, Ferrari on the front row, Ferrari, second row, Mercedes, 3rd row, Ferrari, 4th row, and on the 5th row, it's Mercedes, Ferrari. So it really is going to be an unbelievably fascinating concertina. It's hard not to sound like a giddy school kid when you're about to watch 30 of SOP's finest racers put it down for an hour and 40 minutes here at the SOP PC EVO Challenge. And yes, I am just showing off saying that. Thank you before the race once again, of course, to the SimGrid for putting on this event. Absolutely can't thank you guys enough. The use of your facilities, well, I can definitely say the showers were spotless and the canteen was second to none. So thanks very much to that, and of course to to Mike again before the race starts. Can't think of as we see a car to, is it too soon to crack Roman Grosjean jokes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I know, he binned it. He binned the car warming up his tyres in a Grand Prix.
George Russell did that at Imola.
Oh, was it George Russell that did? Oh, I do apologise, Roman. As we see 40 kilometres there, that beautiful scene you saw there, that was 40 kilometres east of Bologna in Italy. It's our third trip to Italy. We did expect this trip to be Mercedes dominant, but the Ferraris have said, no, no, no. We're on home soil, so we are going to do our best to ruin that little parade. I'm just having a look down the grid. We've got Egan down in 30th, bit of a surprise there. We've got Humphreys in 29th. We have McKenna in 28th with Oleg Boychuk in 27th. We've got Omar in 26th with Valentin Boychuk in 25th. Klokanovsky is in 24th, and Horace Solkram, homeschool racer, will start in 23rd with Camille Stempel in 22nd. Christopher Lagerston is in 21st place tonight with Ivanusa starting in 20th. The top 20 then are O'Neill, Plotz, Buck, Mallardy, Rosa and Haish making up 20 through to 14, so expect some movers there. Babulal, is in 13th tonight with Samsu in 12th, and Lambrecht qualifying well up in 11th position. We've got Stefan Van Hal in 10th, expect a good showing from him. And the top 10 then, King McGee is up in there with Mini Battenberg in 8th. Luca Tavernari, shock already in 7th with Astor Borrega in the Williams livery in 6th. We've got Alex Phillips, AJ to the P is in 5th. Malchirek is in 4th with Sir Foch in 3rd. And our front row, of course, Chris Jones in the Mercedes and Daniel Jose Georges, who is 3rd in our championship and finding himself leading the grid on this warm-up lap, Bailey.
Absolutely, this is the point of nerves.
Point of no return.
Point of no return as well, yeah. As they start their formation lap, or end their formation lap.
End the formation lap, yeah.
Go towards the start-finish line. John, take us away.
Indeed, we just come past the pit straight there. Expect some pit strategy talk later on in the race as the guys now filing into position. Double file, they have their foot poised, half on the accelerators, waiting to cross the start-finish line. We will see some green lights very, very shortly. 30 drivers battling out for the SOP PC EVO Challenge. Ferrari versus Mercedes, and we are go, go, go. And the Mercedes has got an absolute flying start on the Ferrari. The Ferrari's been swamped by second and third, so it's a bad start there by Jose Georges. He's been overtaken in the first corner by Chris Jones, so Chris Jones is off and running, and Sir Foch, I think, is going to put a move very quickly onto Daniel Jose Georges. Malchirek and Phillips are battling out. I think Malchirek might have got the move done on Phillips. I think Phillips has dropped a place, but the big news here then, first we did wonder about the drag race into the first corner. Chris Jones has put that Mercedes power to the absolute limit there and taken the lead of the race from Jose Georges, who was our race leader. In third then, Sir Foch then is down to 4th place with Malchirek in 5th. Phillips is down to 6th. Aston Rodriguez in 7th with Battenberg in 8th, with Tavernari down to 9th position, so he's lost 2 places, so it's going from bad to worse from him. His only saving grace is Sir Foch is still in 3rd position. We've got a run wide. Jose Georges then runs wide through Riva. He's going to come under all kinds of battle, and the man that loves a podium for this whole competition finds himself up 1 place from podium step 3 to podium step 2 and chasing down Chris Jones. Sir Foch getting the job done as well, and that's a nightmare from Jose Georges. Bailey, that's not the start you'd expect from a guy that took pole position.
No, absolutely not. I'm wondering what actually caused some of the maybe the slower start was not reaction time, but trying to get the power down in time. But Chris Jones, an absolute flyer, already 2 tenths ahead. Doesn't sound like a lot, but in racing terms, that, you know, as that gap gets bigger, it is gonna be a big gap. And Foch in the Ferrari behind, putting a lot of pressure on. The timing screens is updated. 7 tenths the gap, so he hasn't put too much pressure on. But it's like Alex Phillips in the Mercedes putting pressure on
Jose Georges.
Yeah.
Yes. So coming through the first chicane, as we said, that is a definite and overtake place. There's a little There's a lot of slipstream at this course. We will talk about that later on because it will have a lot of effect on the guys' tyres, so it will affect massively the pit strategy and when we see guys coming in as we watch this absolutely stunning camera work again. It's very hard to keep track of what's going on when you're watching some of these beautiful pictures brought by Mike, but Alex Phillips is absolutely putting Jose Georges to the sword as we see them coming around Death Zone Bend. Then Chris Jones is sneaking off into the lead. He's got himself a 6/10 gap to Sir Fosh, with Daniel Jose Georges managing to gather himself and get himself back up to third, so he has very much managed to limit the damage to his charge for the race win. Of course, started on pole, was outgunned quite brutally by Chris Jones into the first corner. He got the job done before they'd even got into the chicane, and Chris Jones has not looked back. We did mention him before the race as one to watch because he was one of, in fact he is the lead Mercedes driver in the championship in 6th position, so we did obviously mention him as one of the drivers to watch, and he's absolutely done the commentators proud by taking the lead of the race and absolutely taking the fight to Daniel Jose Georges, who we saw making a couple of mistakes, but he's gathered himself magnificently here, Bailey, and he's got himself right back onto the back of Sir Fosh while dealing with the AJ to the P headache, which is getting ever so slightly bigger in his rear view mirrors.
Absolutely. Is Chris Jones going to have to defend into turn one is the question I'm asking myself. Is Sir Fosh going to... No, he's not. He's just going to hang tight a little bit longer. And that's sort of allowed Alex Phillips in the Mercedes to sort of gather himself again and to start attacking the back of Georges.
Rega's going to lose a place, sorry, just in the background there, Aston Rega. I think he's made a mistake. He's just lost 2 places very quickly. One of those places being to Luca Tavernari. So Luca Tavernari is making a charge. He's back up to 6th position. So Aston Rega in the pole. And that's Daniel Jose Georges off the track for a 3rd time in the opening 2 laps. Tavernari didn't qualify on pole, and Jose Georges can't keep it on the track, Bailey. I'm not sure I can take this for an hour and 40 minutes. As we see Aston Borrega in that beautiful Williams livery, not giving him the Williams speed of days of old, certainly. He has just been overtaken again by Luca Tavernari, who finds himself, as I say, yo-yoing here. Started in 7th, very quickly down to 9th, and he's got himself back up to 6th position at the expense of Aston Borrega and Battenberg. We're going to have a quick replay of the start now, as we see a whole lot of action. That's Sam Su then, going side by side. We also see Jose Georges in there, and the number 12 liveries. We see a Mercedes running off the track. Oh, and a 3-way collision there with the Mercedes. And the number 69 car will certainly have issues continuing the race. That is Adam O'Neill, who I did actually mention before the stream. He's sitting in 12th. Loitering with intent just outside the top 10, so that's certainly not going to do his chances of finishing in the top 10 overall any good at all, Bailey.
No, not at all. Sorry, John, I don't think Georges did have the problem.
Oh.
So he's still in 3rd, and we're just watching Fosh come into turn 1, still hanging tight behind the Mercedes on the back of Chris Jones still, but I can just notice the Mercedes is sort of a bit more stable for once, going through turns 1 and 2, and the Ferrari looks like it may have to back out a little bit more than the Mercedes, and that's Alex Phillips all over the back of Georges, and Fosh is going to try and hang it around the outside. No, he's not. His car's scrapping for positions. We're behind the trees, you can't see anything, and the Mercedes still leads, but
no, Alex Phillips is going to get the move done. Alex Phillips is side by side. Alex Phillips is side by side. These 2 guys, he leaves them just enough room, squeezes them just on the edge of the track. That's an absolutely fantastic move, but he's run wide. The Ferrari's run wide, catches a lot of sand, so AJ to the P is going to cruise past him there just by benefit of not having dirty tyres, although AJ runs himself a bit wide. So there's action all over the track in these opening 3 laps. An hour and 40 minutes of this. Bring it on. We're on board with Kenny Millard as well, but we're back on board. No, we're back on board with AJ to the P. He's got it done. AJ is up onto the podium. And I'll tell you what, Jose Georges has got that Ferrari riding the sausages into that chicane magnificently. I've seen many a Ferrari avoid them. Oh, and we've got a big spinner there. We've got a big spinner, and it's Christian Malcherek. So another one of our championship contenders having himself a bit of a mare. He is the closest man to the podium sitters in 4th place. He has seen himself on the podium in this championship, and that, I would say, would put paid to that, as we see Sir Fosh absolutely all over the back of Chris Jones. He's going to have to go side by side because of the slipstream, so he is going to have the first apex. Can he put it around the outside on the second apex. They are side by side, leaving on enough room. Oh, the Mercedes over the bumps. The concertina up, and AJ to the P says thanks very much. And Jose Georges then round the outside. They are side by side, 2 by 2. Noah leading them into the arc as they come round Death Zone Bend. We're going to get a fantastic helicopter shot of these 4 cars. Listen, Mercedes, Mercedes, Ferrari, Ferrari. Oh, as we see, Sir Foss catching himself a bit of grass, but he's still hanging it in there. So he's going round the outside of Chris Jones as AJ to the P is taking off in the distance. Jose Georges is in the background working with intent, and look at Tavernari up to 5th position, rubbing his hands together with glee. Cannot believe what his eyes are showing him at the moment. The front 5 all within a loincloth of one another, battling out here, and Tavernari, I think, is going to pounce sooner rather than later as the 2 Ferraris go side by side. Daniel Jose Georges and Sir Foch battling out as they are in the championship. 2nd and 3rd in the championship, find themselves 4th and 3rd on the track. I'm practically salivating at the excitement of what's going on here. Alex Phillips and Chris Jones then, they got the Mercedes memo. 1st and 2nd place, leaving Jose Georges, Sir Foch and Tavernari in the Ferraris in their wake. Alex, of course, slightly fortuitous the way he got through, but you've got to have a little bit of luck in this game, and Alex absolutely took advantage of the opportunity presented to him and has taken the lead of the race. The battle still continues up at the front. We are on board though with Lambrecht, who's fighting out with Battenberg. He's got Sam Su, who we mentioned before the race, loitering just outside the top 10 of the championship in a Mercedes. Very solid driver is our TSR week, and we could expect him to be making moves as well, Bailey, as we see some fantastic slipstream onboard action. The front bonnet scoop of that Mercedes, Bailey, a fantastic piece of kit as they come side by side into turn 1. Will the guys give each other enough room? And the Mercedes gets it done comfortably. The Ferrari absolutely avoiding those curves. It brings it back to the curve point again, Bailey. You can certainly make the Ferrari ride the curves, but what you lose in top speed and turning, it really is a trade-off. So I think you will find the majority of the Mercedes tonight avoiding as many curves as possible, in deference to the fact that they're just going to lose too much time on the flat-out sections of the course. So it'll certainly be interesting to monitor that as well and see if it causes anyone to lose any tyre pressure and have to pit early, as we see Sam Su then swinging it out wide, getting out the slipstream so as not to cause an incident there, as he did have 3 cars very close in the front of him. He's got Plots lurking in the background. They've got themselves a little bit of a gap to Babuwal. They definitely don't want to be messing about too much and let him back in the door. He is certainly a lively racer, as he has proved over this series, and is definitely likely to put in an overtake, just like Sam Su here, going side by side, takes the apex over the curb, through the chicane, job done. Has a bit of a wiggle on the way out, but that is more Mercedes on Mercedes action we're about to see as he puts another Ferrari in his rear view mirror. And I tell you, Babuwal, I think, is going to get the move done on the Plots as well. So Plots having a double bad time at the minute there, and he has run wide, and Mini Battenberg has got through as well. So the Mercedes boys, they're apart from Foch, Jorge, Georges and Tavernari, who are our championship leader, the Mercedes boys are certainly getting their finger out here, Bailey.
They are. I think, like we said at the start, it is the stability of the Mercedes that helps it around this track, that makes it so dominant around this track. And it might not just be the, as we watch, who's this? Battenberg. Oh!
Big spinner, Battenberg there. Oh no, is that Battenberg?
We're on board with Battenberg, but there was a car.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, so action all over the track. Oh, Sam Su, number 55. He's
and
been
another.
involved, and we've got another Mercedes on the side of the track as well. So the opening exchanges have been brisk, and we have seen overtakes left, right and centre. We're now seeing the guys maybe cook their tyres a bit too much, trying to hang around the outside of so many corners, and they may be paying the price for that now. We're on board with Battenberg in the Ferrari. He's hunting down a Mercedes, and so far in the opening few laps of this race, that is not a battle that has gone well for the Ferrari so far, Bailey.
No, and it's quite interesting actually in watching these drivers as they battle, and there's so much respect between a lot of them, and you've got to put the squeeze with we saw at the battle for the lead. The squeeze is so important around this track because it can either make the move or break the move. And I think it's important to have the squeeze just to push the overtake to the limit, and it will cause the other driver to back out, hopefully, not crash, which is not always the intention of drivers.
Indeed.
But fantastic racing we're watching, John.
Yeah, really is quite fantastic. And these are fantastic machines, of course. The EVO 2020 editions, the newest addition to the GT3 touring car world. Both cars having an overhaul of the front bumper and aerodynamic system. The Ferrari benefiting more from the aerodynamic system. The fuel consumption, Bailey, we're going to need to talk about pit stops here. The fuel consumption on the Ferrari has increased, whereas the petrol tank has decreased. We're going to get a replay here. Oh, so it's Preston Lambrecht and Sam Su coming into turn one. So Preston Lambrecht in the Mercedes, closing the gap. Sam Su closing up the back wheel. Oh, a little bit of contact on the turn in there. And that's just enough to unsettle, and it put off a couple of drivers behind. So quite a bit of carnage there. A bit of gravel caught. So Sam Su there caught someone in the braking zone. An unfortunate incident there, so that's going to leave Preston Lambrecht flailing at the back of the grid. Will he come in and pit? We were just about to talk about the pits. I was just saying about the fuel consumption. The Ferrari fuel consumption has, for all intents and purposes, got worse than its previous counterpart. It does have a slightly larger petrol tank than its counterpart Ferrari from the previous edition, whereas the Mercedes, which used to literally eat an oil field per lap, has very much improved. So Bailey, we could see some drivers, in an hour and 40 minutes, you're going to need to pit at some point. We could see some drivers potentially come out with a very light fuel load and look to pit early, potentially get themselves some clean air, because as we can see from these pictures, not many drivers finding themselves much clean track at the moment. Or do we think the majority of drivers are just going to play it safe and go for a split 50-50, or even potentially go long first stint? There's a plethora of options open to our drivers, Bailey.
Yeah, absolutely. We're watching these groups. There's a lot of groups on track, tight-knit groups of battles. And I noticed Georges has pitted, John. So Georges from the top 5 has pitted.
So he's got his pit done, and
so he has got his pit stop done.
Yes.
But yeah, how are these little groups going to affect the drivers that pit early, and how are they going to affect them after the pit stop? Because you can't imagine all these drivers pitting at once. If you're in a group, you're not going to follow everyone in. There's a bit of chaos into turn one. This is why I love this track. You've got to think a lot before you go into turn one. Even if you're not battling anyone, even if you're on your own, still got to sort of think about the safety of that corner.
Yeah, you really do. We really do. As we see the Ferrari of Stempel have a wiggle. Oh, there's a bit of contact. That is Stempel and Ivanusa then. So Ivanusa facing the wrong way, holds his brakes in case there's any other cars coming round. He will look to right that as soon as possible. So that was Stempel that made contact with him there, unfortunately. So that will be an early pit stop, I would say, there. As we're watching plots, the battles are still continuing all over the field. We are 8 laps into this SOP PC EVO challenge. Let's say a quick hi to the chat, actually. I did try earlier to say hi to the chat, but I was massively distracted. Who have we got in? We've got some guy called Double O Raven. We'll ignore him. He said Bailey brought the PS server bug. Pass it on.
Of course.
Did actually type that into the chat. You're welcome. Selfish Fish, let's do this. Yes, indeed. Mamburo, welcome along. Thanks for tuning in. Blatant Rage. Get the Haribos on standby. Bailey's doing a cracking job tonight, so he deserves an extra bag of the foam eggs. THKKR Sim Racing, hello. SOP Motorsports Simon, good evening and welcome along, sir. Jimmy Holm, welcome. Kane Denham, I know that guy. Thanks for tuning in, bud. Good morning to you, as it is 8 in the morning. Dedication that man shows is never
beyond
to be underestimated.
That is.
Beyond dedication, it really is. Baggy, amazing show. I'm not sure if he means us or the drivers. We'll take all the credit for now. If we're incorrect, you can correct us. Or not. It's entirely up to you. So yeah, AJ getting the job done. Stefan in 6 is moving well. Jose Georges already in the pit. Simon absolutely on the ball, so he's loving the show here. We've got Van Hal then. He is loving the show as well. He's hunting down Aston Rega. We've seen him lose a couple of places, but he's gained a couple back. He's got Karsten Haas and Sam Su was involved in that unfortunate incident, closing the gap in the background. Su, of course, is Millard, keeping him very honest. So those two could cause themselves an issue, but yeah. Oh, and Aston Rega's gone off the track, and I tell you what, that is absolutely well held. That is save of the day so far there from Millard. Well held, that man. We are on the rear spoiler then of Van Hal. He is still being hunted down, both men taking an awful lot of curb there, Bailey. There's a bit of light flashing going on. And I'll tell you what, we could see some drive-through penalties if the guys are pushing their luck on the curbs this early.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the problem. Like I said, you do want to take a lot of curb. Who's this? Van Hal being overtaken, I think.
Yes, it looks like Karsten Haas has decided that he wants to get this move done sooner rather than later. He is hunting down a Ferrari, and as we've seen so far in this race, Bailey, this only ends one way, and that is with the Mercedes putting the Ferrari in his back pocket and disappearing off down the road, much like Chris Jones, who has retaken the lead. Oh, as Van Hal takes himself a whole lot of curb, decides to just keep it in there, and yep, you're as well to cut across there. You're going to get yourself some tyres full of gravel. You might as well not make it worse by trying to steer across that stuff, because as you and I both know all too well, Bailey, that doesn't end well, Bailey.
Not at all, John, not at all.
No, definitely not. A man on the charge though. We did almost count him out. Did I count him out? I don't think I was counting him out, but he did surprise us all by not taking pole position. He didn't take that corner particularly well either. He did start the race. He started the race on top of, he started qualifying, on top of the standings. He started the race in 7th place. He quickly dropped down to 9th. He's fought his way back up to 4th and is very much keen to overtake Sir Foch, Alex Phillips and Chris Jones, who are our current podium sitters. So we did wonder, Bailey, we'd only had one Mercedes on the podium out of potential 9 podium spots so far. The way it's looking at the moment, we could see 2 Mercedes, potentially 3 if Karsten Haas can keep it together and go on a charge with Sam Su. And do we still have Bailey? Nope, Bailey's run away. Okay, I was only joking about that fruit shoot, by the way, Blatant Rage. I hope you're not distracting my co-commentator with fruit shoots and Haribos halfway through a race. So yeah, fingers crossed, everything's okay. I've just got a notification saying he's timed out, so nope, everything's not okay. Well, that's fine, because you've got me and you've got Mike on the camera, who is mounted on the front left wheel of Sir Foch, and the front left wheel of Sir Foch is pretty much mounted on the rear spoiler of AJ to the P. He has been overtaken by Chris Jones. Chris Jones is back in the lead of the race and finds himself 1.3 seconds ahead of Alex. So he's not only got the overtake done, he is making it very much stick. So we'll see how that battle for the lead continues, as Sam Su still tries to put the moves on Karsten Haas. We're on board with King McGee. He is of course being hunted down by Battenberg, who's had an indifferent start to the race. He's found himself in the gravel and running wide on the curves. He now finds himself all over the back of Battenberg. They are just in arrears to Lambrecht and Klokowski. Lambrecht, of course, involved in that incident, found himself off the track, but he's back on in 12th, so could be on for a great recovery drive here. We'll see how that goes, as Bailey definitely disappears. So let's hope that I don't disappear too. I'm sure I will be fine. Fingers crossed, as we are still watching King McGee. King McGee, of course, he's put in a semi-decent showing so far. He is in 14th place, and he has been in the Mercedes, as you can see in that beautiful livery. And we have talked about the Ferrari dominance in this tournament. The drivers, of course, have visited Misano, Monza and the Nürburgring. We did hope for a bit of a Mercedes fight back at their spiritual home of the Nürburgring, but it wasn't to be, as the Ferraris again displayed their dominance. But it's all turned around in race 4, and it's certainly going to have huge ramifications on the finishing positions for our drivers, and some of it's going to have massive ramifications for the finishing positions of the top 5 drivers, is the battle we see on screen at the moment. It is, of course, Sir Foch. Every single race so far, the only man other than Luca Tavernari to be on the podium in all 3 races. He is currently on the podium, but you better believe he would love to get one step further up, and if that's at the expense of AJ to the P, then so be it. But this, of course, is playing right into the hands of Alex Phillips. He's now 1.7 seconds ahead of these 2 guys. So Alex defending for all he's worth to keep Sir Foch in his arrears, but that is just letting the rest of the field back in the door. McGee then, still battling out, he's showing some good pace, he's definitely having to defend here against Battenberg, but he is closing up at a respectable, more than respectable place on Lambrecht and Klokkanovsky. Of course, Klokkanovsky, he has raced in all of our races, hasn't finished perhaps as high in the races as he would have liked, and he's certainly looking to make a charge for the top 10 this evening. We've got drivers all over the place at the moment. We do have a couple of drivers who have taken their pit stops already, so it will be interesting to see how a long second stint plays out for them. We're back on board then, and when I say on board, we literally are on board. We're on the rear splitter of Alex Phillips, who is in second place at the moment. He is being hunted down though in the Ferrari of Sir Foch. Now we have seen so far, and I have said a few times in this race already, we're only 13 laps in, that any time we see a Mercedes versus Ferrari battle, the Mercedes is certainly coming off the better. Sir Foch is looking to put paid to that. He's not happy with that. He's declared that that is fake news, so he's hunting down Alex Phillips at a spectacular rate of knots, certainly keeping him honest as Chris Jones disappears off into distance. Sam Sue and Millard are still battling out. We've got Lambrecht and King McGee with Battenberg and Lagerston now all joining in and looking to improve their positions here in the final week of the SOP EVO Challenge, of course brought to you by our friends at SimGrid and Mike at Simply Race, giving us the wonderful pictures we are watching at the moment. I just mentioned a moment ago Carson Haas, Sam Sue and Kenny Millard. As we see Sam Sue getting the move done, runs a bit deep though into the second stage of the chicane. He's going to have to get back on quickly but safely, don't want to get too much grass on your tyres. And Kenny Millard, I'm thinking, is going to go side by side here, pops the nose out to see if Sam goes defensive. Sam decides against it, holds his line. Both men then procession, there we go, another rear spoiler shot of the car. We are of course on board with Sam Sue, and yep, there we go, Bailey's just rejoined the chat. I do love the beeping noise that it makes. Sam Sue then, we're on board with the rear spoiler. We were watching that battle, but the battle between Sir Foch and AJ to the P is absolutely heating up as the two drivers look to go side by side into the hairpin, just enough room left, and in death zone bend. He was, of course, in a Ferrari, and Sir Foch living up to the Ferrari hype around that corner. He's got his nose just out in front. The two guys are going to have to go side by side into this very tight left-hander with a very, very, very sharp exit. I do say tight left-hander. I know that didn't look tight, but you take that corner as one. It's almost like a hairpin the way you go into the car changes direction. And Sir Foch then putting paid to the rumours that the Mercedes was the dominant car here and winning all the battles, making a fool of the commentators and getting himself into second place. And AJ to the P now has all kinds of headaches to worry about. He's got Sir Foch in front of him to overtake, and he's going to be defending against Luca Tavernari. This is going to be a long shift tonight for AJ, Bailey. Okay, he's rejoined the chat. I guess he was there. Your mic's not on mute, Bailey, so we should be able to hear you in Discord. Are you there, bud?
Hello.
Hello! We have been rejoined by a roving reporter, so you just nipped down to the pit wall there, just to check and see with the mechanics. That's what was happening, yeah. Oh, look at Tavernari. He is looking to jump all over your glorious re-entry to the race, and it looks like he's going to make a move. No, he's not. He tucks back into turn one, so it's been all action while you've been away, Bailey. It's been all action for the opening 15 laps of the race. I can't believe we're 15 laps in already. There's been absolute mountains of action. There's this fabulous onboard shot of the cockpit of Luca Tavernari hunting down Alex Phillip, looking to get himself back on his spiritual home, of course, the podium. And oh, what an exit he's just got. Side by side he's gone with AJ to the P. So all the fake news we were spreading about the Mercedes winning all the battles here, Sir Foch and Luca Tavernari both clearly didn't get that memo from head office and have decided that they're going to put AJ to the P in the rear view mirror. So battling all over the field, the top three outside of first position are certainly battling hard. Sam Sue there as well. He is battling hard with Kenny Millard. And Kenny Millard has got the overtake redone, so he's taking the position back from Sam Sue. So he's moving back up the field. So this battle will certainly look to continue as Kenny Jones streaks off into the lead. So yep, confirmation there. Millard getting the job done as AJ to the P looking to fight back against Sir Foch. The two cars, or the four cars in the both pictures, as close to one another as they are in each picture. Sam Sue pulls the same move on Millard, pulls out, looks to see if Millard goes defensive. Millard decides against. Sam Sue getting this particular corner correct on this lap. He did make a mess of it the last time. Keeps it right this time. He's absolutely under the rear view spoiler, looking to get the whoop-de-whoop done. Runs a bit wide, looking at the power down early as they come through the second section of Ravala onto the home straight past this pit entrance. We're watching AJ again. This is absolutely fascinating stuff, Bailey. But these guys really are looking to capture themselves as many points as they can here in finale week.
And I don't blame them either, John. I think Alex is really looking for that second place. He was overtaken by Foch, but he's not letting him go very easy as they head up towards turn 9. And so it was Tavanari who's all over the back of Alex Phillips, who's dropped back slightly, and I'm wondering if that is just to let this battle go on, as he just sort of spectates, does a bit of a spectator mode and sort of hangs back a little bit, re-energizes and probably goes all out as they get past the back marker. Nicely done. Alex Phillips looks around the outside, a lot more grip in the Mercedes on the front end turn in. Not so much on the back, but he can get the turn into that corner well. And that's Tavanari all over the back yet again of Alex Phillips. So coming down towards turn 17, and that's a dive bomb from Tavanari. Fantastic move, and he's gone wide. He's gone wide, so he hasn't got the move done. That's going to lose him a lot of time.
A lot of grit on his tyres.
Yeah, a lot of grit on his tyres as well. And
yeah, we've got someone sat on the pit entrance there. Obviously the hot dog stand was open. I'm assuming they were socially distanced serving the hot dogs and burgers. I wouldn't mind the cheeseburger, Bailey, actually. So the next time you disappear down the pit lane, mate, if you could grab me a cheeseburger and a toffee latte, 2 sugars, stir to the left. If you don't stir it to the left, I will know. Okay? Just saying. Just saying. But yes, we are watching, don't know who that was, in the Mercedes, doing a bit of sightseeing, obviously taking in the beautiful Bologna sights in Italy. We see some back markers here. We do see Sam Sue. We've got information in the chat that Tavanari waiting like a great white shark. Yes, he is waiting like a great white shark. We did get some information from Simpac Jimmy saying that his boy Sam Sue was forced to drive with damage thanks to some blind driving from others, that is. So accusations ahoy as we see Millard and Sue fighting through past a back marker. So this battle will absolutely continue. Sue did take the place from Millard. Millard took the place back. Sam, not happy with that. So TSR Wake is definitely looking to get that job done. And they're still within striking distance of Karsten Heesch. Now we did mention Karsten before as being one of the 3 Mercedes drivers in the top 10, which naturally made him one to watch, with this being such a Ferrari dominant series so far. To even get a Mercedes into the top 10 has been fantastic work. He finished 10th in race 1, 8th in race 2, didn't have a great race 3 and finished in 18th. So I think the fact that he's only in 10th belays the talent that that young man has, given his performances in the top 2. But Millard and Sue are definitely keeping the gap closed on him there as they try and hunt him down. Sue though still in the slipstream as they come around towards the last double left-hander. Very close indeed. Very close indeed as they come to the start finish. That's a lot of gravel on both men's tyres here. Sam already, that's intention signalled. He's going round the outside. He does have the run. He could have his nose in front and a whole lot more by the time we even get to the first chicane. He's got an absolutely fantastic run, and he is. So Sam has got the move done on Millard, but will Millard go round the outside? No, he's gone up the inside. Sam picks the direction, he goes up the middle, and Millard, I tell you what, decides against the side by side, stays in the slipstream and looks to get a better exit coming out the chicane. Oh, gets himself a bit of gravel again though. That's going to cost him his acceleration. We're jumping on board with Ligreston, Rosso and Solcrum. As we see Horace there, home school racer in his very distinctive tangerine and black. Oh, but we jump back on board with Millard then. It's all action. He's got the move done again on Sam Sue. So there we go.
Sam having a bit of a mistake then, causing
yeah, causing him to lose the places. We see side by side. So Rosso then getting the move back done. Horace Solcrum then is going to cruise through as well. He's going to go round the outside. Nope, he's back under the spoiler, but this will be moved done sooner rather than later. You feel Horace very good in that Ferrari, showing off his beautiful home school racing colours. We're back on board though. Sam Sue and Kenny Millard. Oh, and they make a bit of contact. Both men make a bit of a mistake going into the chicane there. The Ferrari not handling the curbs as we said earlier. Horace though, him and Ligreston then side by side in the left-hander. Ligreston going to go round the outside. Bit too much pace there. He's going to fall foul of the stewards, so he will pick up a warning from the stewards for that, but he does get the move done around the outside as he goes into the braking zone, pulls it round to the right. Horace closing the gap slightly there. Both men getting a great exit up the hill. As we were talking before the race, Bailey, and during the onboard lap, that is a very, very, very difficult section of the track due to the undulations, and it doesn't help you come from there straight into the sausages of that chicane. So a very, very difficult section of the track and very easy to get wrong.
Oh, very, very easy to get wrong, yes. I think I'm noticing that due to the fact that Mercedes is so-called stable, the drivers are having to be a bit more smoother. And we were watching the onboard of one of the drivers in the Ferrari, and he was hacksawing a bit at the wheel, trying to fight it over the curbs and so on. And I think Homeschool Racer's doing a fantastic job, isn't he? Keeping on the back of the Mercedes and even challenging him into some of the corners.
Yep, he really is. As I say, he's just got through a 24-hour endurance race very recently at Kyalami. All weathers were endured, and he did very, very, very well, completing all his stints. So he is definitely going to be in the zone and looking to make moves. Oh, Sean Buck then. One of the runners and riders we thought might be worth keeping an eye on. He's of course in the Mercedes. We were expecting very much a Mercedes dominant track this evening as Horace then continues the battle with Klokkanovsky. No, Ligreston, sorry, still hunting Ligreston. It is of course the 6.6 car that we are on board with, and the two drivers nose to tail once again. Ligreston once again running right at that curb. He really is going to be pushing his luck with the stewards. As the two of them go side by side, Horace decides to fall back underneath the rear spoiler of Ligreston. To be fair, I'd be doing the same. He does look racy, but he does look like Ligreston has got a mistake or two in him. So if Solcrum, homeschool racer, can keep it nice and clean, catches himself at a curb, Ligreston then running well wide. Oh! And homeschool then falling foul of those yellow rumble strips. And I'll tell you, the Ferrari will not react kindly to those things. Of that you can make no mistakes. As we see Ligreston then getting the move, looks like he's done. He's getting himself a little bit of a gap here, but as we said, he is prone to a bit of a mistake, as we've seen so far. We are, how many laps in now? 20 laps in.
20
so the
laps,
guys,
wow.
yeah, is it 20 laps we're in so far? I believe we are. Lap 20, sector 3. Yes, indeed, we are. So we're closing down. Boychuk then in the background. Sorry, that's not Boychuk in the Ferrari. Boychuk is in a Mercedes. That is a back marker then. So Horace still hunting down Ligreston. He will be keeping him very, very honest in that bright orange livery. It will certainly be difficult for Ligreston to forget that he's there. But we've got a battle on our hands then. Sir Foch and Alex Phillips. Alex Phillips is back in second place. So he did get the move done on Sir Foch. He's going to take the inside line, which means he'll have to go around the outside. No, so Sir Foch falls back into place. So the battle for the podium continues, Bailey. Alex Phillips and Sir Foch absolutely putting it on the line. And Luca Tavernari, as your dearly beloved dad was saying, lurking like a great white shark, looking to steal some positions here.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, so Alex Phillips got the move done on Foch, and then all of a sudden the yellow Ferrari of Tavernari is all over the back of them yet again. But saying that, coming out of what turn was that? 7.
Yep.
We
6.
see Foch is only 2 tenths behind Alex Phillips, so about round 7 of this battle we might be seeing.
Yeah, and not just that, we've got Sam Su then is about to absolutely breeze past another car. So he's getting the job done. Fantastic shot of there. That's Stefan Van Hal. So this is a battle for position in his rears. That's Stefan Van Hal, you can see in the wing mirror in his very distinctive red and yellow Ferrari. Absolutely fantastic shot there of the car closing under the braking zone, and you can physically see that car in the side mirror looks ever so slightly closer on this straighter section. So he's definitely closing up. Sam Su then involved in all kinds of action today. He is being left behind by Kenny Millard. He's had enough of the battle and he's off into the distance in his Ferrari, leaving Sam Su to deal with a very real problem that is, of course, Stefan Van Hal. Definitely not a slouch by any stretch of the imagination. He'll be looking to get the job done on Sam Su sooner rather than later and send his attentions onwards to Millard. But a great showing from Sam Su here, up to 7th, Bailey.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic from the Mercedes driver. And I think what's important about this track is you've got to be track smart, new word for you. And so if you've got the pace, it's all good until you come across someone, because you've got to be very smart. And ooh, that's contact in the back, I think, with was that the Martini Mercedes?
Astra Alejandro. We're going back to Alejandro. Spent a week practicing his surname, still can't get it right, so we're just going to call him Alejandro. It's a fantastic handle, so why not embrace it and enjoy it fully. Sir Foch then, he is going to be looking in his rear view mirrors and wondering what he's done to deserve this. He's got Luca Tavernari all over the back of him. We've seen Luca, and it just goes to show, I almost did write him off at the start of the race. He started in 7th. We've seen him make a couple of mistakes, but even with these couple of mistakes he's made, Bailey, he's still in 4th place, harrying the guys in 2nd and 3rd. So, yeah, could we see the impossible here? Could Luca Tavernari qualify in 7th, drop to 9th in the first 2 corners, and make his way back to the 2nd or even the top step of the podium for today's race?
Well, this is what I meant when I was talking about where's the best place really to start. And obviously, like you said, he's dropped down 2 places at the start, but he's got himself back up into 4th, and we're going to watch a replay. Oh, and that's the Martini.
Aston Rega, from Zees Van Hal, Karsten Haas, Sam Su, and Kenny Millard all go flying through there. As we just have a look there. So we've had quite a few cars pitted so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars have pitted. Sorry, that's some terrible maths to be doing live in here. But even had O'Neill's pitted twice. So he pitted early for damage, and one of the Boychuk brothers has also had to pit twice.
Oh, no, sorry.
Not McGee, not in the pits. No, Aston Rega then. We're going to watch a replay to see what happened. Absolutely highlighted. What our commentator. Oh, that was very, 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 very close. That, I believe, was our race leader. Very nearly wiped out by Aston Rega. And Aston Rega, beautifully highlighting your point, Bailey, that the rear end of that Mercedes is ever so slightly skittish, shall we say?
Yeah. Loose.
Yeah, definitely loose. There is definitely a few jokes we could use there, but again, it's before the watershed, so we'll leave them well alone. That is a back marker getting him away for 2nd, 3rd and 4th place, who are still all within a loincloth's distance of one another. And this, Bailey, is absolute beautiful music to the eyes of our race leader Chris Jones, who now finds himself 3 seconds ahead of this ever battling group of drivers. So it's great viewing pleasure for us, but it's certainly not what any of these 3 drivers need if any of them have any ambitions of winning this race.
No, absolutely. I mean, Chris Jones in the Mercedes number 63, he has got a few back markers, I think. Is that number 78, 77 in front of him? So he does have to start thinking about getting past them a bit quicker. Is this Foch versus Phillips one more time? I think so. I
think it might be as to come round Death Zone. Oh, that's not Death Zone, Ben, sorry.
No, not yet.
I'm not used to this exquisite camera work. Foch on Tavernari, though. Yep, they are side by side. Tavernari pulls back in. Will he try and get the cut back with a tighter line? Sir Foch defends beautifully. Both men absolutely clinical lines there, Bailey, and they are bumper to bumper. Slipstream is fully engaged going into this corner. How close are they going to get here?
Extremely close, I think, John, and they're just not running as wide as I was expecting, not carrying too much speed. You've got to be careful of the slipstream into these corners here. Through 12 up into 13. And Tavernari doing a good job really following these two battles for the final podium position, which is, I'm sure he's going to want to finish on a high. Third would be fantastic.
Stefan Van Hal then on Sam Su, so two guys that know one another all too well. Death Zone Ben gets the switch back. Absolutely beautiful move from there, but he's not quite got it done. They're going to go side by side. It is a drag race up the hill and back down the hill, so they're going to come through this very undulated section. A little bit of contact there from the two guys, fully committed to the cause here as they switch back down left-hander. Downhill they go, of course, into the right-hander next. Will Sam get the move back done? Back uphill they come. Cars undulating under them. Both men will be absolutely furious to get their accelerator down, but you have to keep a balance through there, lads. Coming into the chicane then, Stefan Van Hal has absolutely got himself a bit of a lead. Sam makes a bit of a mess on the entrance there, catches a bit much sausage. You either have to get it with your wheels or not hit it at all, and he went on a half measure, and it certainly didn't do him any favours. So Stefan Van Hal and TSR Wake then battling it out. As I said, the two of them know one another all too well from SOP events on the console, and here they are battling it out for our viewing pleasure on the PC here for the SOP EVO Challenge. This of course was an open invitation to all SOP drivers. It has been beautifully hosted by SimGrid, so thanks once again to Michael, and of course the camera work that's being mentioned in the chat as we speak from Magic Mike in the background there, putting it all together in quite stunning fashion, almost as stunning as the driving show that Alex Phillips, Samir Foch and Luca Tavernari are putting on at the moment, Bailey.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, just watching Sue going through those corners and just the way he was bouncing across the curbs, and we see the two Ferraris do the same. It's clear that they are fighting the cars through this track. It's definitely not an easy track, and who says you can't overtake here? It's fantastic racing being provided by the track. And on top of that, we got some back markers. That's Alex Phillips going straight into the pits.
Wow, AJ to the pits, so less than just shy of halfway into the race. We see one of our podium contenders come into the pits. Now King McGee, he has pitted as well. He is our on-track net leader that has pitted. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out. Of course, Jose Georges, who pitted early, he took pole position. He is still down in 27th position. So the incidents he was involved in early really have cost him. He did pit early, so we did expect him, or I certainly expected him, to make an appearance back up the grid, but that might not be the case given how far down he currently is as one of the Boychuk brothers. Oh no, it's not, sorry, it's Stempel. So Stempel was so involved in some early action. He's come into the pit as well, so now very much it could be like the good old American Gold Rush, and we could see an absolute avalanche of cars. Therefore, once again, drivers, thanks very much for making the commentators look good and letting us all know that the halfway, sorry, I've just seen a yellow Mercedes spinning. That's not Chris Jones. No, it's not Chris Jones. Chris Jones is still in the lead. There was a yellow Mercedes spinning there, and I did think to myself, oh, wow, they're all over the place. They're all over the place. So it was indeed, we do have confirmation from the box that Chris Jones has dropped it. He is no longer in the lead of the race. So this is Chris Jones we are watching. That is Luca Tavernari ahead of him, and that is Sir Foch, I believe, behind him. Or is that even Kenny Millard? But Luca Tavernari then has definitely got the job done, and it's Jones behind him. So Tavernari is in the race lead. Jones is in second, and Sir Foch is in the pits. Wow. So there we go. So Alex Phillips then, he's taking his pit stop. He's come back out in 12th position. So he is 5 spots ahead of King McGee. So he is definitely well out
that's
in
Chris
the
Jones
lead.
going off again.
Wow. So there we go. We're going to get a quick replay here to see exactly what happened with Chris Jones. I did think I saw a yellow Ferrari spinning. And it was, and it's exactly the same corner we've seen Aston Martin make. We've really seen the loose rear end of the Mercedes causing some of these drivers huge issues, and that has cost Chris Jones, after some outstanding work early in the race, could very much be race over. He is still in second place at the moment, but let's remember AJ to the P and Sir Foch have both pitted, so Chris Jones does still need to take his pit stop, and so does Luca Tavernari. But Luca Tavernari is back on top. We're going to watch on board then. This is a replay. This is Samir Foch and Luca Tavernari. So there we go. So it was Sir Foch then, a back marker. Yep, so we're just going to get confirmation is exactly what happened there, but that was a bit of a coming together there. That was a back marker. That was, I believe, one of the Boychuk brothers.
It's an odd place as well, isn't it? A tight part of the track, and obviously you're jumping over that curb. So I can imagine if that back marker's made a slight mistake, he's slammed on the brakes maybe to slow the car down.
So here we are. We're going to jump on board from Tavernari there to see exactly what happened. So there we go. Beautiful bonnet cam. We do see the blue flags waving. So the car immediately in front of the white Mercedes, that is a back marker, it closed up and it just looked. Oh, so there was a double contact, so it was a concertina. So Tavernari did make contact with, Chris Jones did make contact. Sorry, no, that was Tavernari. We were on board with Tavernari, so I'm getting myself confused. Too much action going on. So Tavernari did make contact with Samir Foch in the Ferrari, who made contact. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, so it looks like Foch did make the initial mistake and Tavernari made contact because of the brake check. So it is all changed. Chris Jones is in the pits. Alex Phillips will be looking to retake the lead of the race. He did temporarily have it earlier. He was taken back over. So Karsten Haas and Kenny Millard have all got past. Chris Jones is still in the pit. We're on board though with Homeschool Racer, who is up in 13th place. He does have Omar in his arrears, and he is the car closest at the moment to Samir Foch. As we see Chris Humphries in, he still has to pit. And we have seen a lot of drivers be like, as we thought, we weren't sure if we were going to see some early pits, but we have certainly seen the halfway mark of the race bring a lot of guys into the pit. So it's going to be an interesting second stint when the rest of these pit markers, when the rest of these pit stops iron themselves out, when the guys get back into position. We see Sir Foch then on Chris Jones. Both men have pitted, so Alex Phillips is our net leader at the moment. He is in 10th. We've got Chris Jones net 2nd and Samir Foch net 3rd. These guys all have pitted. Chris Jones certainly in unfamiliar territory at the moment, Bailey. He had the race all to himself, but coming into this chicane, he's got a whole lot of Sir Foch problems.
Absolutely, and that black Ferrari is so stealthy, isn't it? It's just, his wheels may match the car in front, but he's definitely not partnered with him at all. He's definitely going to want to take that position. As like you said, Alex Phillips is in net P1. So depending how the field continues to change, this is P1, P2, and P3, right? John?
And yep, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, my microphone seemed to have cut out. I do apologise. That was the greatest piece of commentary I've ever done, and you all missed it. Oh well. No, it was the same. We've had another raft of people coming into the pits. Babylal, Van Hal and Lambrecht are all coming into this mid-race raft into the pits. As Tavernari on lap 29 is still in the lead. Karsten Haas is in 3rd and Millard is in 2nd, sorry. Millard's in 3rd. Sam Sue is in 4th at the moment, with Battenberg in 5th, Plotz in 6th, but none of those drivers have pitted. Alex Phillips has pitted, and he's not only pitted, he's got the move done on Babu Lal. Sir Foch is still closing down on Chris Jones. This very much is the battle for the second step of the podium. King McGee was one to watch as well. He is currently in 15th place, and there we go then.
Stop go.
Stop go. So that's speeding in the pit lane for Van Hal. That is an absolute killer, and that could cement a top 10 position for Lambrecht and King McGee, given he's going to have to come back in, and a stop-go penalty around a lap that's only 1 minute 40 long, Bailey. That is an absolute heartbreaker.
Yeah, no, that's not good. That's not good for any driver. I mean, yeah, stop-go 30 seconds. That's going to be damaging to any racer, isn't it?
It really is. It really is, especially on a lap as short and quick as this, as we see the guys in. So this chicane that has caused so many problems for so many drivers this evening at the start of Sector 3 around at this Imola track, as we see Foch and Jones still battling it out for the second spot on the podium. As we said, these guys, side by side, come through the double left-hander of Ravala. They will come on to the start-finish straight, and Sir Foch has got the move done. So again,
Foch regret that move though, because let's think about the slipstream. If he can defend, then it's all good. But look how quick Chris Jones is gaining on him. He's going to be forced to the outside move into turn 2. Can he get it done?
Both men heavy on the brakes. Oh, the Mercedes slightly later on the brakes. They are side by side. Oh, and the Mercedes catches a bit much to the yellow. Yep.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, I mean, that's good racing though, isn't it? Because I thought Foch had sort of made a mistake there, getting past him a bit too eager. Maybe he should have been a bit more patient. But when a car dips his wheel into the gravel, you definitely send it. I don't know why I'm saying it's a bad move. I think I would do it. So.
Yes, indeed. Terry, you are certainly entitled to your opinion, but we have actual telemetric data which would suggest otherwise. If we are incorrect, then we do apologise, but do try and keep the language clean, kid, if you don't mind. This is a family orientated show. We are certainly entitled to your opinion, but what we've seen is Sir Foch made a mistake going in the corner, perhaps not the best place for the back marker to get out of the way, but he did lock up going in, which caused a concertina effect. But thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you very much for having an opinion. We do love everyone tuning in. Who else is in the chat? Give us a hi. Michael Wilson, come on. AJ, Ben Gallagher's in. Man, a good camera angle at Ravazza. Yes, that is a breath of fresh air. Yeah, Ben, you are absolutely correct. I was just joking about that with Bailey before the stream, that we will see more than simply the left ear of a driver going around Ravala. So, yeah, bra fun. Blatant Rage, Tavernari will be P1 or 2. So Blatant Rage then, putting the predictions out with 45 minutes to go, reckons Tavernari can get the job done and get himself back from 9th position up to 1st or 2nd spot. It would certainly be a fairly miraculous drive, but given the pace that he's shown this entire series, Bailey, it wouldn't be out with the realms of possibility to say a believable pre-line.
I think Johnny's talking about him coming out of the pits, because he is net P2 now, and that is with a 5-second gap behind Alex Phillips.
Oh, of course.
So he has done a fantastic job there. So he's in P2. So his.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, I was busy reading the chat and never even noticed it coming to the pits. I do apologise. I was too busy with the chat there. Sorry, Blatant Rage and everyone. Yes, you're right. So look at Tavernari. It's a good thing you're here keeping me right, Bailey. Look at Tavernari is in net 2nd position, with Sir Foch putting on another fantastic drive to get himself up on the podium. Ooh, as we see. And Klokkanovsky. Oh no, Lambrecht. Sorry, Lambrecht, of course, involved in an incident earlier. So these two guys going side by side. Absolutely clean as a whistle along the start-finish. They are nose to nose. Oh, and absolutely nothing to separate these guys, so they're definitely going to be going side by side into turn 1, which we do, or into turn 2, into the chicane. Oh, and there's a bit of contact. Turned in a little touch early there, Lambrecht. Got himself a bit caught out, so King McGee will live to fight another day. And off he pops into the distance, leaving Lambrecht in his arrears. We do see... Oh no, that's not Van Hal in the background. That is another back marker that these guys have got themselves past. So King McGee then, getting the job done. He will be charging onwards, hoping to get himself a top 10 position. Of course, we've got Sam Sue in 1st on track, and Battenberg in 2nd on track. These two guys still have to take their mandatory pit stop. We are almost, very almost 1 hour into the race with 40 minutes of this unbelievable action still to come your way. Sam Su then is in the lead of the race at the moment. He is coming up to a back marker. He does have a Mercedes behind him, which I think is another back marker, unless that is Alex Phillips. Well, no, because he should have back there behind him. So yeah, so it really is getting a bit confusing at the moment with all the cars on track. We still will wait on the pit stops to iron themselves out. But the big news is, Luca Tavernari is up to 2nd place. Qualified in 7th after taking pole position in the first 3 races of the series. He then won all 3 races of the series. As I mentioned, started the race in 7th, dropped down to 9th. And after some unbelievable driving, even after a couple of mistakes, he's gotten himself back up to 2nd place. Can he put on a full-blooded charge and overtake my man to watch? Oh, and that is contact. Very clumsy indeed there. Very clumsy indeed.
Chris Jones as well.
Yeah, I think it might have.
But
I think it might have. So
escaped you a little bit. Sam really defending, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. He really is. There was, of course, a back marker there in the blue and red Mercedes in the background with Chris Jones tucked in there. So a lot of back marker action there. Chris will obviously not be keen. Oh no, sorry, this is Chris Jones here.
Oh, this is
Chris Jones. So yeah, so that is another Mercedes.
Similar car.
That's lapping at the back. I do actually think it might be Chris Humphreys. I think it's Chris Humphreys down in 20th position.
Oh, those two are battling, are they? The blue and they are.
Well, no, because Chris Humphreys still has to pit. So yeah, can't quite make out the number. Oh, there is making contact there. Sam Su then sails off into the distance. And it is, of course, King McGee. Of course it is. So it's King McGee who is leaving off into the distance. And that's Babaluel on Lambrecht. So it's Babaluel that's in the same colour of car. As I saw, you know what, I was getting confused. It's Aston Martin that's in the Martini colours. So it's Aston Martin that's in the Martini colours. Babaluel then is in colours very similar to Chris Jones. He's got the move done on Lambrecht, although I say that, catch a lot of curb. And Lambrecht catches a lot of dust.
Bit more gravel, yeah.
So yep, so Babaluel then will say thank you very much and disappear off into the distance on the hunt for King McGee, who is currently in 9th position. So these guys are battling it out for a top 10 position here in the 4th and final week of the SOP Challenge. We've got Battenberg then, who's on track 2nd position. We do expect Phillips, Tavernari, Foss, Jones and perhaps Hayes and Millard to overtake Battenberg while he's in the pits. Phillips then getting that done already. Sam Su then will pretty much be the last man to pit. Of course, Chris Humphreys is due to pit. He's down in 20th position, so definitely can't see him, unfortunately for him, making much of a move on the top 10 from there. So really the last man that we're keeping an eye on to pit is Sam Su, our race leader. Is he putting quick and consistent enough laps to get himself a good top 10 finish here? We're certainly going to find out. I would suggest sooner rather than later. That has gone through the hour mark, so his Mercedes will be looking for some more petrol sooner rather than later. It certainly answers the question as to Sam's pit strategy. He is pretty much the last man on track, so he really did fill up that petrol tank and look to go right to the end, Bailey.
He did, and to prove that, after his contact he didn't rush into the pits, which was surprising because he did have contact early on, so he must be carrying a little bit more damage than a clean car, wouldn't you say?
I would suggest so.
Yeah,
it would certainly, the evidence would certainly suggest that, yes.
I'm surprised he didn't jump into the pits at his first opportunity, but he's sticking to it, and he has got a 21-second gap. Oh, there we go, and he jumps into the pits.
So there we go, he does finally come into the pits. So barring Chris Humphreys, that is pretty much all of our drivers made their pit stops then, as we watch Lambrecht involved in all kinds of battles with Babaluel and plots lurking in the background. Of course, Klokkanovsky and Solkrum and Van Hal will be looking to improve their positions. They're currently up to 13th, 14th and 15th. Van Hal involved in a big incident and had to come into the pits and get himself well and truly repaired, so he'll be looking to make himself charge back up. But certainly Solkrum and Klokkanovsky and plots qualified down in the 20s, find themselves 14th, 13th and 12th at the moment, and hunting down the man we see on screen, which is of course Lambrecht, who was involved in a few incidents himself, Bailey, but if he can get the foot down, he could find himself battling with Sam Su here and fighting it out for a top 10.
Yeah, top 10's very much on the cards, I'd say. Where are we? Sorry. Lambrecht. He's doing a good job as well, isn't he? Sorry, the screen was jumping for me then. Lambrecht doing a fantastic job. It is a beautiful livery he's got as well. And only 1.3 seconds the gap between him and Babulal.
I promise you, ladies and gents, I did make him practice these all before the stream. So, yeah, but it's okay, it's fine. It's the pressure of bringing you guys this type of content and keeping up with Mike's camera work and trying to keep up with what's going on track, because we are 35 laps in, and with the amount of action that's going on, this could have been a full-length 70-lap race already. We will, of course, be very close to 70 laps that the drivers are on the track for this race, as we are on board once again with Sir Foch, who is in uncharted territory here, and he's in some sand as well. He has, outside the Luca Tavernari, as I keep mentioning, Bailey, in that Ferrari machine, he has managed to get on the podium every single race. The only other man to do that is Luca Tavernari. So it not only speaks to the strength and depth of drivers that we've got here, but also to the sheer talent that these guys have got.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a fantastic job, and if he can get onto that third position, that means overtaking Chris Jones, who did have problems earlier on, and he is not gonna want to let Foch pass. That is for certain.
No, he certainly is not. Chris Jones, of course, he took second place. He was on the front row of the grid, and into turn one, he was on the front of the race. He, of course, took the lead from Jose Georges, who was in third place in our championship, but has had what can only be categorised as a nightmare, and is currently lapping down in 27th place. So he did make a few mistakes. He's found himself way off the pace here, and I would surmise that he could find his position in the top three of the tournament at the end of the competition very much in jeopardy, as Christian Malchek is only 7 points behind him, and Kenny Millard is only 11 points behind, with Chris Jones again only 14 points behind. So with Chris Jones fighting out here, so Chris Jones again, it just goes to show you these guys have all got something to battle for. With the way it stands, Chris Jones could very much see himself vaulted up the final standings towards the top three the way things stand. Alex Phillips then will definitely be making charges up the table. He finds himself in the lead of the race, which is a bit of a relief to me, Bailey. I did mention I was one to watch last week. A, he's a very quick driver, and B, he's in the Mercedes. We did expect a much higher rate of Mercedes dominance around this track, but Alex is doing it the Mercedes proud. He's leading the race, and he's got a 3-second gap to Tavernari, so that's not bad going at this stage of the race.
It isn't, but Tavernari is closing the gap ever so slightly, and it is, as we watch the clock tick down, 34 minutes left. Tavernari can do this. He can take the lead. He can win this race. It's whether Alex Phillips has got more in the bag and he's just holding off before he can go full out and hammer in some times.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating battle between the four drivers at the front of the gap. Of course, they're all pitted very close to one another. We had Jones pitted on lap 28, Foch pitted on lap 27, Phillips pitted on lap 26, Tavernari pitted on lap 30, Bailey. 4 laps later than Phillips, which means as far as tyre life goes, this one is absolutely Tavernari's to take the hold of, and yeah, he has got to be feeling confident here. What a turnaround this would be, Bailey, to go from 9th back to the lead in this field of drivers.
Yeah, that would be a statement, I think, John. But yeah, an absolutely fantastic drive from him. I've never seen him race before, and he's definitely proved himself from the stories you've been telling me, John. And Tavanari just doing a fantastic job closing that gap down even more. I'd say he's on the charge now for the win.
I definitely would, given the tyre data that we are privy to. Obviously, the 4-lap difference here. Phillips was the first driver to pit out of this top 4 battle, so he is going to have the oldest tyres come towards the end of the race. And as if to highlight that point beautifully, Tavanari in the last lap was taking 0.8 of a second, 0.8 of a second. Tavanari has taken out of Phillips' lead. So it very much is going to be a case of when rather than if, you would have to say. We've seen, as we see Tavanari come round this very technical section, that is quite frankly a nightmare to steer your car through. We've seen so many Mercedes struggle through there. You did mention how loose the back of the Mercedes was, Bailey. Coming through that section, the Mercedes really are struggling, yet the Ferrari does seem to be handling that section so beautifully. So it could be all down to that one little section of track there that could decide the race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just wondering, the gap's gone up to about 3.3 seconds. So Tavanari either backed out or a slight mistake, maybe a touch of the gravel, which is not what he's going to want. But with 31 minutes left, he can afford these little mistakes for now, as long as in his eyes Alex just doesn't push too hard and get any quicker, basically.
Yes, indeed. As we see Horace Solkrom then, I do believe he's just got a move done on Klokkanovsky, the number 7 car in the Mercedes. So Solkrom then, I do believe, will find himself up to 13th place. So he is putting on an absolutely cracking show at the moment. Oh no, the timing board didn't update. So
Maybe,
it's a back marker he's just gone past, yeah. So to jump on board then, this is Battenberg, this is a battle for position. I know Sam's livery is slightly different to that, is it not? Gold and green?
Oh, is he? Yeah, he's in 7th, right?
Yeah, he's in gold, yep, he is in 7th place. Battenberg then does find himself battling away with a back marker. He is hunting down Samsu, who we can see just up the road ever so slightly. He is closing that gap at a fairly respectable rate, so we can expect to see him within striking distance within a lap or two. Can we see the Ferraris have a bit of a fight back there? They're certainly in arrears at the moment to the Mercedes. We haven't seen many Mercedes on the podium so far this series. One of a potential 9 podium spots. We've currently got Alex Phillips and Chris Jones taking up 2 of the spots, and Chris Jones is getting himself a bit of a gap to Sir Foch, and those two pitted pretty much on the same lap. Lap 27 for Sir Foch and lap 28 for Chris Jones. So Chris Jones will have a 1 lap advantage on his tyres, so not really much to speak of with drivers of this level, Bailey. But it's going to be as much of a surprise as look at Tavanari not taking pole position, never mind not qualifying in the top 3. Seeing Sir Foch finish outside of a podium position, that could be a bit of a turn up for the books in this tournament.
It could be, but he is on an absolute charge, is Samir Foch in the Ferrari on the back of Chris Jones, and Tavanari sort of on a charge, I'd say. He's doing a lot, what he did at the start of the race, which he hung back and watched the battle for a few laps, which was quite interesting, and then we did see him capitalise on a few mistakes and jump onto the back of I think it was Jones and Phillips at the time, and Foch was in the mix as well for the battle for the lead. So we know that he's track smart and he is quick. He was quick in quali, not pole position like you said, but I think
not to be sneezed at.
That's true, exactly, and I think Foch has got the pace to get past Jones, but like I said earlier, Jones is not going to want to give up a 3rd position very easy.
No, none of these drivers, I can tell you, none of these drivers will be looking to give up any positions without an absolute ding-dong battle, which is great news for us with 28 minutes to go. There will be more overtakes. Will Luca Tavanari use the 4-lap tyre advantage he has over Alex Phillips to retake the lead of the race? Can Sir Foch get himself back onto his spiritual home of the podium in this 100-minute race for SOP's PC EVO Challenge. Hosted, of course, by our good friends at SimGrid, and the camera work brought to you by Simply Race Mike, who is simply fantastic at what he does, really. And I promise he didn't pay me. Oh no, wait a minute, I missed out. He is fantastic and wonderful. Yeah, there you go. He definitely didn't pay me to read that out in full. We are watching Sir Fosh, though. He is hunting down Chris Jones. It's a good thing he's got a sense of humour, I'll tell you. So Sir Fosh then is hunting down Chris Jones. We did allude to this being a predominant Mercedes track. Okay, we do have Chris Humphries then. His pit hasn't seemed to have registered, so he's either on some mega fuel saving mission in that Mercedes, or there seems to be some kind of issue with his mandatory pit marker. It does say, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to want to get that done sooner rather than later, though, isn't it? Because that's going to be detrimental to the rest of his race.
Oh, it really is.
If he hasn't done it properly. I hope he's noticed as well, because sometimes if you've pitted and it hasn't registered, it doesn't clearly say other than the fact that you've got no green pit board.
Yeah, and if he doesn't have his timing board, some drivers do like to keep the screen nice and clean. They do like to keep it nice and clean to avoid any potential distractions. I know I am fatal, absolutely fatal, for getting overexcited when the little marker in the top green, in the top left turns green. Oh, I'm doing a quicker lap, bang into a wall. Yeah, that's the best way to not be doing a quicker lap. As we've watched these guys end lap 42, there is a back marker, and Chris Jones will say thank you very much for the slipstream. The back marker will rocket out the way. Severe Fosh then will find himself dropping off the back slightly. Chris Jones taking absolute full advantage of the back marker that's now going to potentially hold Samir up ever so slightly.
Yeah,
coziest and comfiest section to get through, Bailey. No, definitely not. As he does go around the outside, you do hope the Ferrari, yep, there we go, he got out the way. Too sweet there. So not quite the same advantage for Sir Fosh on the aerodynamic slipstream there, Bailey, but Chris Jones definitely making the most of it and getting himself a nice extra couple of tenths gap there.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. I think that's not really what Fosh wanted, but I think Chris Jones, he did a fantastic job to get past the back marker a bit sooner. But despite saying that, Fosh does look a bit closer visually on track. He looks a lot closer, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah, he certainly does as they come up this section, which has of course been a practical graveyard for the Mercedes tonight. Chris Jones managing it magnificently there as they come into the chicane. Samir then, he has got that car set up as he rides those curves, does see a bit of wheel movement there, maybe got the bump stop range a bit too high, loses traction on the exit, so Chris will squeeze himself another tenth or two gap there. So Samir perhaps pushing a little bit too hard in his efforts to catch up with Chris Jones. He's definitely got the pace to get on the podium, as we have seen race after race after race, but definitely not having it all his own way tonight. He's going to really have a battle on his hands if he wants to get on the podium, never mind back up to the second step. I would say the second step of the podium though, Bailey, is slightly out of reach for the two drivers we're watching, given that Alex Phillips and Luca Tavernari are absolutely off and running in their second stint here.
Absolutely, the two at the front, they're trading times at the moment. The gap's bouncing up and down, and like you said, Chris Jones with the 8-second gap between him and Tavernari's. I guess you could say it's out of reach unless something happens, really. But at the moment, I think Chris Jones is going to be looking in his rear view to see Fosh, who is slightly a bit further back at 1.4 seconds. So interesting to see what happens.
Has dropped off slightly, you're right. He's now 1.4 seconds back. We have seen the gap, though, between those two drivers fluctuate greatly. Plenty of camera time, though, for our race leader. Car number 222, the Mercedes AMG EVO 2020, piloted by Indigo Lime Racing. Indigo Lime Racings. That really is a lot more difficult to say than you would think. Like, genuine is a lot more difficult to say. No, there you go, still can't get. Indigo Lime Racing's very own AJ to the P in the shape of Alex Phillips. He is leading the race as he crosses the line for the 43rd time, but in his rearview mirror, in the back of the picture, lurking, everyone starts singing the Jaws theme, because he is like a great white, as Blatant Rage said, lurking in the background, and he will be praying for Alex to make just that little mistake to let him back in. But as we see Alex run the curbs through the first chicane, Bailey, that is not something we see often, as our AJ to the P making a mistake. So this really is, even at this stage with the gap as is, you've still got to catch up and overtake. Alex can defend. That's one of the many things he can do. So this really is going to be a big ask for Luca Tavernari. So at this stage, do we think it's AJ's race to throw away, or do we think that Luca still has the pace with 22 minutes left to catch up and overturn this 3-second deficit?
Oh, I think he's got the pace, but I think there's a bit of a mental battle, going on at the moment, because if you're Tavernari behind and you're looking at the gap and you're seeing it bounce up and down, you get your hopes up because you're gaining, and then all of a sudden, either he's making little mistakes, or simply Alex is just creating a gap at ever so slightly in his own time. But I'm sure Tavernari is just gonna want to get the move done and sort of close the gap. Whilst that time on the race timer, it ticks down to 21 minutes, which does sound like quite a long time, but it's not really in race terms.
No, it really is not. It can seem, well, it depends. You know what I mean? A second can seem like a lifetime. But if you get a gap of a second over a quicker driver, see Sam Su then going round the side of Chris Humphreys, the back marker, who has yet to scrub his mandatory pit marker. So hopefully he clicks on to what's going on and gets that done. As you see, McKenna, we have of course given our Paul an honourable shout. He did sign up for this race. He signed up for the race a week before. He literally jumped into one of the SOP streams, followed the stream, signed up on SOP Motorsport Discord, which, if you want to get involved in the racing, is the only way to do it. And he was taking part in this event a week later. So massive props to Paul McKenna for battling it out all 4 of these races. Stemple as well, he was involved in some action early on, found himself a bit sideways, still carting a bit of damage on the front right of the Ferrari 488, but he is valiantly battling on, and so is Valentin Boychuk. Of course, we've seen him involved in the back marker incident with Samir Foch, and Luca Tavernari, which gifted Tavernari the lead of the race, but he is still firing on in his Mercedes. We've got Omar as well. Omar, of course, has taken part in all 3 of our races so far. This is his 4th show and hasn't quite scored himself any points yet. But he is still firing on in his Ferrari, and let's face it, in that car, why wouldn't you? Christopher Lykerston then, he is 30th overall in the championship. Again, hasn't managed to quite score a point with us in this series, but he is in 17th. If he can hold on to 17th place, Bailey, he will get himself a point. So come on, Christian, you can do it, kid. Christopher, not Christian. But the least you can do is get his name right. Goodness gracious me. It's no wonder someone was insulting the commentators earlier. But yes, Lykerston, he is looking to take home his 1st point of the series. So best of luck to him on in his continued endeavours. Alex Phillips then is still leading. Oh, and off he goes. Curse of the commentator right there. I do apologise, Christopher. Yep, decent recovery. It's perhaps going to cost him a place. So we're going to see some battling then. Yes, so him and Omar are going to go side by side with Sam Su. Oh, there's a lot of blue flags. We almost saw a replay incident that was involved earlier, but the guys have managed to get themselves through. So Lykerston is going to let Sam Su through here. Sam is of course on a charge, trying to get himself much further up the order. He is in 7th place at the moment, so he'll be looking to build on the 11th in the championship, and this will be a great finish for him if he can bring this home in 7th, perhaps even get himself up to 6th at the expense of Kenny Millard. The 2 of them still battling it out fantastically well for our viewing pleasure. We do have a leading Ferrari coming up to Lagrestone as well. He's going to go round the outside. Oh, catches a bit of dust. That will, of course, completely mess up your braking zone and send you there, Bailey. So that's basically what happens. As you well know, I believe that was Battenberg then in the Ferrari. As you well know, Bailey, in these cars, if you don't have all four wheels on the tarmac when you press the brakes, you will be braking in a much longer fashion. Is that the correct word we're looking for? Yeah, you'll definitely be going much further than you anticipated. Oh!
Oh my.
Yeah, that was a deep breath moment.
Yeah, that was the heart in the mouth.
Yeah, but heart and mouth is certainly one way to describe it.
Oh my.
Definitely a code brown. I hope they were wearing the correct colour trousers for that particular moment. We've got Roscoe as well in the Ferrari. Hardly had to mention this race. He has, of course, been another regular in this competition. Hasn't done the best, I'm sure, by his own high standards in the finishing that he's had. He did get himself a couple of finishes though, and I'm having a quick look, and where has he gone in the table? I did pick him out of my notes earlier as well. Oh no, that's Cross. Yeah. So there we go. Perhaps it's his first race, and of course, home school racer. He is, I believe he's 16th in the Champions. He's 17th in the Championship behind Asper Rega, Michael Ho, King McGee and Stefan Van Hal. So he will be looking the gap on these guys and perhaps drag himself a few places further up after his 24-hour expeditions around Kyalami. Looking absolutely fantastic in the number 5 orange and black. I do believe that's his trademark branded colours. Yes. So we do love the colours there, of course. One of Twitch's little legends. Sir Fosh, quite a few of the guys here. Of course, I'm sure you're all watching their streams as well as watching us. If you are in the chat, who do you think is going to win the race at the moment? It is in the hands of AJ to the P in the Mercedes in the SOP EVO challenge. There we go. Just throwing it all in there. Van Hal then on screen at the moment. Who's going to win, ladies and gents? Type it in the chat. 222 or 11. Car number 222 or car number 11? Who is going to win? In fact, who's going to finish ahead out with these two? Millard and Sam Sue Bailey still going at it. Hammer and Tom, 48 laps deep. Monumental is definitely a word that could not be described as an understatement for this Bailey. The two of the guys still going, as I say, 48 laps in. Still absolutely hammer and tongue with these two.
Yeah, very close battle between those two. I mean, some great racing from them. I love the aggression from some of the drivers when they're racing. They don't want to give up the position at all, which is why I'm sort of twiddling my fingers and wanting to see Phosphorus Jones for the final podium spot, because I believe those two will come fairly close to each other, and I think they'll put on a show.
Oh yeah, definitely going to be putting on a show, that is for sure, as a lot of our drivers have done over the races. Plots, of course, involved in a lot of action in race 2 at Monza. Himself running in a very respectable 12th position, and make no mistake, that is a very respectable finish given the field of drivers that we have here. We are definitely seeing a bit more of the Mercedes dominance that we were promised from the drivers. Of course, they're in 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th. And then in 12th, of course, is Plot. So definitely all changed from what we've seen, and this is going to play absolute havoc with the finishing table. I defy anyone to figure out how the table is going to end with the current standings. Like I say, we've only got 3 Mercedes in the top 10 overall, and at the moment we've only got 4 Ferraris in the top 10, with the lead Ferrari in the top competition of Luca Tavernari only in 2nd at the minute, but he is absolutely breathing down the neck of Alex Phillips now, and Sam Sue is still breathing down the neck of Kenny Millard. So DSR Wake then absolutely looking to bring it into a top 6 finish. Ducks out with a slipstream so as not to cause too many issues into the braking zone of Death Chicane. Wow. Absolutely closes the gap there. The Ferrari is a bit of a wiggle. That's going to be a bit of a bump draft just to keep the two guys going. So very gentlemanly there of Sam to keep the bump draft going. He will look to go outside. You're going to have to give him round his cancel. And that's not quite as gentleman as you'd like. Perhaps could have given him a bit more room there, Bailey. But although the bump draft perhaps wasn't the most appreciative.
I think is the best word to describe that overspeed. He caught a bit too much speed, which, ooh, contact, who's that? We're on board with Tavernari, who was that? Was that a back marker going spin? Number 5, was it?
Oh, okay, so he's got a back marker. Yeah, Kenny Millard and Sam Sue then, still absolutely going at it. These two guys definitely not prepared to give up this 6th position that they're battling for. I'm sorry, yeah, so Sam Sue and Battenberg's getting involved as well then. So Battenberg, sorry, Battenberg hadn't moved on Sam Sue. Sue's taken the place back again. So TSR Wake being left in the wake temporarily of Battenberg. Battenberg put back in his back pocket and he's back to hunting down Millard. But Battenberg will be an ever-present threat there for the remaining 8 laps. As I say, the guys were going to get very, very close to 70 laps. At 58 or 60 laps, we're going to be looking at Tavernari, though, deciding that now could well be the time as we are mounted on the front splitter of his Ferrari 488 EVO 2020 edition, hunting down AJ to the P in his Mercedes AMG 2020 EVO edition. 50 laps in Bailey. It has been action non-stop. We've got 29 guys left on track and the podium is by no means decided.
Absolutely, that's what's making me more and more excited, and as my face is pressed against my laptop screen as we watch Sue again, once again, a battle that's been going on for so long. And despite his off, he's still with Mallard, isn't he? And this is Battenberg was going to make a move, I think, into turn 1. Oh, I love the squeeze. Gotta love the squeeze, and Battenberg's going to want to take the position. No, not yet. He's been very patient with Sue.
Yeah, really hit. Jones has hit the wall.
Jones
has just come up in the chat. So Jones has hit the wall. So Chris Jones.
Oh, he's 6 seconds behind as well. Yeah, you're right. Something's happened.
Chris Jones has absolutely hit the wall. Something has gone drastically wrong for Chris Jones. So Sir Foch, never, ever to be underestimated. And he's going to find himself once again
this is the battle, John.
Back on the podium.
So this is the battle for the lead, John. Tavernari
really is
split with Alex Phillips 2/10, and there's a back marker coming up, so Alex is going to want to take the position before turn 7, hopefully. No, he hasn't. Oh, he has. So the back marker doing a good job there, letting them pass.
Yeah, right.
And look how close Tavernari is. He's doing very well to stick to the back, and Alex Phillips wasting no time to flash the lights at the car in front, who is a back marker. And here's a replay of Chris Jones.
Yeah, replay of Chris Jones then. Oh, and again the back of the Mercedes deciding it wanted to go round the corner first. And at that point there is very little you can do, and Chris Jones would have been nothing more than a passenger there as he glided across the dirt into the barrier. We've got another back marker that really needs to lift early. This is a fantastic battle. This Brunier of Tavernari catching a bit more sausage, and off goes Alex Phillips then, so he will live to fight for another lap. Perhaps the back marker did make the end into the chicane the easiest for Tavernari, but he did dispatch himself as quickly as possible. As we see Sam Sue and Kenny Millard, what? Side by side? Surely not. That's never seen this before. As we see deja vu around 67 between these two drivers. Millardo managing to keep it in front for the moment. They are coming up to a back marker, so they will be looking to get past there as quickly as possible. The back marker run might catch a bit of gravel, so they will get swallowed up fairly quickly. Oh no, it's not a back marker. What am I talking about? That's still Kenny Millard. Sorry, I'm looking at the other back marker further up the road. Yeah, it really is difficult to keep track of what's going on here. Terry Brogard, you're correct. Never doubt Sir Frosh. I'm not sure what I say to commentators now. You've never ever heard me doubt Sir Foch in any one of these broadcasts. I've always tipped him to finish on the podium, and to be fair, it was easy to do because he always got it done, and he has got it done again. Chris Jones unable to hold it together for the full 100 minutes, and that has cost him his shot at the podium. Sir Foch definitely will hold on to third place now, of that you can be sure. Can Alex Phillips though hold on to first place? He does have Tavernari hunting him down again. He is closing the gap at an exponential rate of knots. There's only 8 minutes left to go of this race, which means the drivers will do a maximum of 4 more laps. So the Italian Red Baron is actually German. So there we go. I'm not sure to what exactly that refers. There may be an inside joke. I'm not sure the Italian Red Baron is. Is that Luca? Is he the Red Baron?
He's
Quite
in a yellow
possibly.
car, man.
He is in a yellow car, indeed, indeed. But Sam Sue then, in his golden green Mercedes, is still hunting down Kenny Millard. These two guys have had this battle going pretty much the whole race and then some. So they really are stuck to one another like glue as they come through the middle chicane here. Very, very, very quick piece of tarmac. Millard then doesn't get all the tarmac, catches himself a bit of dust. Sam will close the gap. He's going to be bumper to bumper on the exit of this corner. He's going to get a great drive out the corner. Kenny certainly ran wide, but Sue is closing down on him here. Under the Audi bridge into the left-hander. Sam backing off a bit there. The Ferrari showing some fantastic pace through that left-hander. And the Ferrari behind of Bamberg showing some excellent pace here as well. Oh, and he's closed right up on the back. The Mercedes really is struggling through there tonight, Bailey.
It is, and I think what it is the drivers don't want to risk any movement from the back end. It's horrible when the Mercedes wants to slide more than expected, and the Ferrari's looking more stable actually through that section. Like you were saying, he was the Mallard was flying through that bit, and his suit looking to make another move, possibly another attack, and he's much closer. I love how the fact that one mistake can cause the drivers to bunch up so quickly. No time wasted for the Mercedes driver.
No, indeed. Indeed, and of course I just got that. Thank you for explaining that, Daniel Montero. Ferrari number 6, his name is Baron Rossa, which is of course Red Baron in Italian.
Oh, what a move by
side
Sam.
by side.
No.
Oh, he's up the inside and they've made a bit of contact. Oh, and both Ferraris glide through. So that is an unfortunate one. That happened a bit quickly there. I couldn't quite see who turned in on who, but I'm sure our fantastic cameraman will bring us up a replay as soon as possible. We've got Baron Rossa in there. We go, Baron Rosso.
To be fair to Sam, what he did was on the outside, he switched to the inside quickly to put off Mallard, and I think Mallard still thought he was on the outside. That's why he may have turned in, and it was a bit too soon for him. So I can't see anything other than a racing incident there, really.
Yeah, two very committed drivers, absolutely looking to battle it out to the end, but it certainly put paid to the on-screen action that we see from those two drivers, but just in time. Luca Tavernari, championship leader, says, hold my beer, let me guys show you exactly what entertaining driving is. He's all over the back. The Mercedes AMG of AJ to the P as we get a helicopter cam. Fantastic.
Switch
helicopter
to the
cam.
Now, and then switch back to the inside. I think he just wasn't expecting it, I think.
Yeah, I think Millard there. Yeah, racing incident, we'll call it a racing incident. I've already been told off in the chat once tonight. So we'll call it a racing incident until one of the drivers fesses up. But to me, Millard could have left a bit more room there. Yeah. Sam was absolutely mounted on the left-hand curb. So, yeah, I think Millard could have slightly left him a bit more room. But what has been, and what will be, will be. And what will be is a good question, Bailey. Will it be AJ to the P, or will it be Luca Tavernari? Did I try too hard to make that rhyme there? I really did. These two guys are absolutely now taking up the mantle of Sue and Millard to entertain us for the last 4 minutes of the race. That's right, we've been racing for over an hour and 30 minutes, and there is less than half a second between first and second place. Who will win the race? We've got predictions in the chat from Blatant Rage. It's going to be car number 11, and we've got a prediction from Chris Williams that it's going to be car number 222. Ladies and gents, now is the time to declare your champion. Will Luca Tavernari complete this? Will it be a whitewash? Will he win every race in our 4-race series here at the SOP PC EVO Challenge? Or will AJ to the P do what this very excitable commentator predicted last week and get his Mercedes across the start-finish line before any other cars. He has certainly got his work cut out for him, keeping Luca in his rear view mirror here for the last 3 minutes, Bailey.
Absolutely, and I'm just trying to work out, so what AJ has to do... Hold on, are they side by side? No. That was a bit of a... made my eyes go all weird then.
Yeah.
What AJ's got to do is he's got to 100% stay in front of Tavanari through Sector 1, and then Sector 2 into Turn 7. That's where Tavanari wants to start thinking about making his move through that hairpin, where he likes... We've seen him do a switchback once or twice there. And he does actually like to go a bit wider and follow the racing line, keep in the slipstream. I think that sort of puts the driver off in front, because that forces them to defend, which isn't where they want to be for Turn 8 and Turn 9. So Tavanari really working his magic around this track, I think.
Yes, he is. And again, you working your magic with your lap analysis, Bailey. It's been... Yeah, it's just been too long coming getting you commentating on a PC race, and before we even get to the end, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on board for SimGrid. As look at Tavanari, goes round the outside, absolutely gets it done. What a move. He left AJ like he was standing still, and he may as well have been. He's instantly got himself a 4/10 gap after that move. So look at Tavanari then. 2 minutes to go, like a great white shark when it really counted. Got the foot down, and that was really a blistering overtake there, Bailey. As we see Van Hal then, he's going to look to get an overtake done and propel himself up to 13th at the potential expense of Klokonovski. The two of them coming into the first chicane then, heavy on the brakes. Rear on rear action with the Red Baron lurking in the background. The Mercedes getting a great drive visibly there. Absolutely going to close the gap here. Goes side by side. No, comes back in. Gets himself a bit more slipstream. Decides against it. The Mercedes catching a bit much curb there. Very unsettled. Runs very wide. The two of them. Oh, very nearly contact. But Stefan Van Hal once again getting a great run out. He's going to take a wider line into the corner. Was going to give him a tighter exit. But great defensive work there from Klokonovski. Putting the car exactly where he needed to go. But these guys are giving themselves a big problem, because the Red Baron will look to be shooting them both down here if they don't get their finger out and get a move on as we're on board the rear spoiler of Klokonovski then. Looking back to Van Hal in the Ferrari and Rosso in the Ferrari. And if these three guys don't make a decision between them who's taking the lead here, Holler, Solchrome and Lygreston, or certainly Solchrome, could look to sneak in and take a position from these guys. Oh, all kinds of problems there for Stefan. The two Ferraris then really struggling through that chicane. So it's definitely been a tale of two corners here, Bailey. We've seen the Mercedes struggle in the down uphill section, and we've seen the Ferrari struggle through that chicane, and it's been the main focal point of all the action so far tonight.
It has. I think we're about to see a bit more action, John. Sorry to sort of cut you off there, because I think AJ's got a problem, because he's 8 seconds behind and Foch is gaining faster than a shark. I can't really give an example. He's 8 seconds behind. That's really shocked me. He was like, I don't know what's going on, whether it's a puncture. Can that happen really around this track? I'm not too sure, obviously.
Yep, punctures are definitely a thing.
Something must have gone wrong, because Foch is 9/10 behind AJ to the P.
Wow, so Sir Foch looking to continue his dominant hold on the podium spots. We have always said he's a quick driver. I'm being
fuel issue, John.
Fuel issue it is. He's low on fuel, so he's had to turn down his fuel map. So Vince Smith, thanks very much. Bogdan Raz as well. Tavanari then will come around the last corner. The impossible dream. 4 wins out of 4. Qualified in 7th, very quickly down to 9th, and he finds himself taking the checkered flag for a 4th time here at the PC Evo Challenge, and AJ to the P. The absolute heartbreak. He is completely run out of fuel going through Rosala. So he isn't even going to make it to Rosala. He's going to slowly roll down the hill and hope that gravity can carry him as far home as forward. So Samir Foch then, always said never count that man out. He's the only driver outside the Tavernari that's made it onto the podium in this competition, and he once again finds himself in 2nd place, meaning Chris Jones,
Chris
Bailey.
Jones, wow.
Chris Jones is going to take third place after taking the front row of the grid by storm. Third and second place very quickly overtook Jose Georges, and that is an absolutely heartbreaking sight to see AJ to the P there in his Mercedes. We did mention it during the stream, Bailey, about how the Ferrari was far more fuel efficient, and it looks like AJ has unfortunately massively underestimated that, as we see Homeschool Racer come past him as well.
He's not going to cross the line, John.
I don't think he's going to cross the line, Bailey. There isn't enough gravity to get him round the corner. So
that is horrible to watch.
That really is heartbreaking to watch. So he is going to tumble down at the order. So see some bars going on there. King McGee. Yeah, King McGee onto Millard. So Millard got rid of Sam Sue. He didn't get rid of King McGee though. Can he get a move done? They will be side by side going across the line. This is going to be an absolute... Wow, side by side finish. Millard holds on to 7th place. Big drama at the end there, Bailey. That totally took the wind out of my sails there. AJ to the P. The big... I mean, look at Tavanari was one story. Samir Foch. Let us not forget Samir absolutely battled all the way through the end and maintains his 100% podium rate. And given the way the podiums were spread out, and given the strength of the field that we've seen here tonight, that is an unbelievable display from both of the drivers in first and second.
Absolutely, I'm still a bit gobsmacked. I mean,
yeah, I can't go over that either. Honestly, can't go over that either.
He did a fantastic job in that Ferrari, and he started 7th, went down to 9th, and wow, what an event that was.
Yeah, what an ending it was. 1 hour, believe it or not, ladies and gents, that was only 1 hour and 40 minutes of racing. That's right, that's all that was. That is how much action we've squeezed in there. Let me just quickly type in the chat, what an ending. There we go, listen to my clicking Posh keys. There we go, let's all type in the chat. That was actually, got a lot of people in there. Definitely not a bird, actually sad times it is. That was actually quite an ending. It's a Jeep, brah. Bosch was going to push Phillips over the line, but he didn't get around the track in time. Yep, I have actually been in a race on this very game, and I did push one of my competitors across the line because he ran out of fuel. So
that would
yeah,
be
that really is
some Cars action, wouldn't it? Where Lightning McQueen pushes.
Oh, there you go. I've never actually seen that, Bailey. But
oh, that's disgraceful.
No. It is disgraceful. It is disgraceful. I am a parent as well. I do have a child about the same age as you, so I really probably should have watched that one by now. We are jumping on board with some replays of the action. Babalil featuring on track, of course. Oh no, sorry, that's 787. So that is, of course. No, it's not Chris Jones. That is Babalil. Chris Jones is in the car number 50. The two of them very close together. Unbelievable. Guys in the chat, give us a quick shout. A quick shout out to everyone that's in the chat as we're watching some of this replayed action brought to you again by Mike Platon Rage, of course. D. Lewis. Hello. We've got Ticterius. Fosh Cruiser Drive. Rest of the drivers are racing. Mike Wilson. Hello. Yes, the camera angles are much better. Baggy once again. Hello, Ben Gallagher. Thanks for tuning in. Blatant Rage. Dirk Ludgers. Terry Brogard. Ben Gallagher. Chris Williams. Who else have we got? Kovac, as always. Great job, commentators. You're only saying that because you mean it. Yes, and all the guys. Vince Smith brought us the news on AJ. Definitely not a bird. Daniel Montiero. Jerry Bay. I think that's it. Shane Klokowski. Yes, a big thank you. There's Shane saying thank you to SimGrid for hosting it. It was indeed amazing stuff. Vicky B, intense race, great commentary as usual. Shame on Phillips though, it really was.
Yeah, that's...
absolutely great stuff. And of course, Kane Denham, our Antipodean roving reporter in the chat as well, even though it is stupid o'clock in the morning. We're still watching the replay. Bailey.
Yes.
That's Misano, Monza, Nürburgring and Imola in the bag. And look at Tavernari, we can safely say owns all 4 of those tracks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, look at that. Hashtag thank you SOP. Yes, there we go.
That's
very nice. Very nice from the guys. So, look at Tavernari. We don't need to do much maths to figure out that Luca Tavernari has been crowned our 4 race champion. Very successfully, followed by the man that got on 2nd place twice and 3rd place twice. Of course, Sir Foss, Daniel Jose Georges had an absolute mare of a race, threatened to finish in the top 3, but that will not be the case. I think it's safe to say that Chris Jones has done enough to take 3rd place in the championship. We will be close. We will double check those details for you. Some great racing there from Alex Phillips. Unfortunately, it ran out of petrol. Absolute heartbreak. Thanks to Sam Sue and Kenny Millard for providing so much action. Stefan Van Hal, thank you for having so many mistakes. Sorry, but they were entertaining. King McGee was involved. Aston Marega had a bit of a nightmare. Homeschool Racer was involved in a lot of the good stuff as well. Sean Buck and Stempel got their heads down, got it done. Lambrecht was involved in a few incidents. Ivanusa got to the end of the race. Egan unfortunately didn't. Babalil did. Plotz, Klovanowski and Bertolio all making a show, with of course Chris Humphreys and Paul McKenna showing up as well. We had Lagerston and the Boychuk brothers giving us a show tonight. What a series it's been. 4 races in, 4 of the greatest tracks, 2 of the greatest cars, and 4 out of breath commentators, because I have been joined by various people over the piece, but thankfully finally got to do a PC race with you, Bailey. How was your first time?
Oh, I struggled. I admittedly say that, but I think what shocked me the most was the names. The fact I had to read actual people's names and not shouting "Double O Raven" has hit the wall. No.
Thanks very much. Although to be fair, there is certainly plenty of precedent of me hitting a wall and commentators getting a shout about it. So yeah, so it has been a pleasure. We're still watching some of the replays here. That is, of course, a man that was involved in so much action. That is Lambrecht, running a bit wide there, with his fellow Mercedes driver just going past him. Some of these back markers still battling out right to the end for every last point they could potentially grab. Lambrecht was certainly one that was up for the challenge. You see King McGee in the background there. There is Sam Sue. Gifted us so much action tonight. As we found out in the chat, he did get himself involved in a bit of an incident early on, so he was carrying damage. One of the last men to pit, and absolutely made that work until a mistake at the end. Here we see him putting on a move into the chicane over Karsten Hash, with Kenny Millard lurking in the background, and I think we all know how that turned out later on. And in fact, this may have been the start of the end of Sue's dominance over Millard, because very quickly after that, Millard got the move done, put Sam Sue in his rear view mirrors. A battle commenced, a slight bit of contact, and Sam unfortunately came worst off. But he will be absolutely proud of the race he ran this evening as we watch these 3 guys again. We see in the background there Stefan Van Hal in that beautiful red and yellow Ferrari that he sported so proudly for the 4 races. So fantastic stuff tonight as we see the guys coming round Death Zone Bend there, so named after a valiant. It was the coach Dave, of course. He won driver of the day for that, didn't Mr. Death Zone? Going round Death Zone Bend, and that is now what it shall be called. So Bailey, who for you was driver of the stream? Can we include Alex Phillips? He ran out of petrol after putting in the show, or does Luca Tavernari get the honours for qualifying so low and winning the race, or do we give Samir Foss credit for getting involved in so much action, keeping it together when so many others around him fell to pieces, and getting himself back onto the 2nd spot, which, let's face it, in a race with Luca Tavernari is pretty much first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've named them all there, John. I think also I got to mention Chris Jones didn't fail to provide us a lot of action from start to end. And not to mention, we had so much action at the start with the change of the lead for the race, which got us very excited. So I can't say anything else than this was just a fantastic race, I think, to end out the season.
It really was. We really were treated to 100 minutes. Granted, some of the drivers certainly weren't treated over the 100 minutes, as we see Stefan Van Hal and TSR Wake there. The move on the Ferrari, absolutely beautiful example of how to take that chicane and getting the job done as well. So Van Hal, as we said, absolutely no slouch. Didn't have the best of races, certainly by his own high standards. He is a good, solid runner in the Pro Series, which starts again on Monday, Bailey.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And I have to mention, I'm sorry I have to do this, it's one of the benefits of being on TV. I want to say a mega well done and congratulations to Jay Bizzett, good friend of mine who did try out. He set time trials for SOP Motorsports Pro Series and he did make it into the big boy league, so he will be in the pros on Monday night. So if you're looking for some sim racing Monday night, you know where to come, because I guarantee you that pro league is going to be some serious racing. These two guys will of course be present. It is two of our ever faithfuls. Oh no, sorry, they're on COD, they're PC now, they're part of the master race, so I don't think they will be taking part. They will be looking down on their lesser console brethren as we still battle it out with 30 frames a second. And a terrible spectator with Karsten Haster and Lambrecht. As we said, Lambrecht involved in so much action early on in the race, did drop off a bit towards the end, but was still battling hard with Karsten Haas. Both drivers we did think could give themselves a fairly respectable showing in the Mercedes. Lambrecht in fact got himself up to 10th position in the end, so I'd imagine he will be very happy with that showing from himself tonight. Karsten Haas not so lucky this evening, finishing well down the order based on his qualifying and tournament position. So another week in the bag, and that is the end of the competition. So ladies and gentlemen, sadly that brings us to the end of the SOP PC EVO Challenge, and what a finale it was. 100 action-packed minutes and our series victor has been crowned. Yeah, fantastic series. Pleasure to have you in the commentary booth, Bailey.
Oh, pleasure as always. And I gotta say, thank you to Michael in the Sim Grid and Mike at Simply Race, yes. It's just fantastic. I'm blown away with what we've been provided, and such an honour really to be comms on a PC event with Sim Grid and next to you, John.
Ah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, I would of course like to echo those thanks. Thank you very much to Michael at SimGrid for putting everything on. I know we crack jokes and stuff about the change rooms and all this, but yeah, no, absolutely fantastic facilities. Thank you very much. Simply Race Mike, you are an absolute legend, my friend. Your camera work is absolutely second to none, so can't thank you enough for showcasing SOP's drivers in such a fantastic way. Thank you to everyone that watched the series. Thank you to everyone that got involved in the chat. We hope you brought you what you wanted. We hope your drivers performed as you wanted. We hope you stay safe. I am off for the strongest cup of tea and biggest chocolate biscuit I could possibly find. So nothing left to do then other than to say goodnight. So say goodnight, Bailey.
Good night, Bailey.
And it's a good night from me. Good night, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.
Ta-ra.